Okay, and we're live.
Oh,
Hello,
yeah.
those of you. Hello, everybody. This is just going to be a general conversation. This is the 6th of the 12th, 2014. Just so the date is right, we can look back at this and we know exactly what we're referencing. Hello, welcome everybody. I say welcome everybody. Welcome the two of you, my two guests.
Hello. Has there been any casts, any of these streams in between? Since I was last here, or
No, actually, I've been mega busy, so I've not had a chance to keep up with it. But yeah, we're back, and we're gonna continue our talks. And given that in mind, I guess we'll start off with our first topic. Unless either of you have something dire you need to yell at me right now.
no, nothing breaking news
Okay.
like right now.
Well, I
No, you're right.
guess yeah, I guess we need to talk about what happened yesterday. And keep it topical. The Game Awards happened.
Oh, right.
Oh
Yes.
boy.
Total
Yes.
biscuit.
The Game Awards happened. That was a thing. As I'm unsure. Have you guys seen the results yet?
Yeah.
You have.
As
Yeah.
far as I know, Total Biscuit won.
Yeah. He won the up and coming video game personality award.
I didn't really get though. How is the winner determined? What does it depend on? Is it
The
just votes or?
I know the winner for that specific award is voted on by average everyday Joe. Um, it was an online poll, I believe.
Okay.
And he was going up against the likes of PewDiePie, which I'm surprised he won. Honestly, I mean
Yeah,
PewDiePie with his fan base, I would have thought.
Gamergate outvoted anti-Gamergate bots.
Gamergate
And don't tell me they're not
outvoted
using bots.
PewDiePie. Oh yeah.
Don't tell me they're not using bots.
So
Yeah, Auntie really hates Total Biscuit.
oh god, yeah. I was looking on Twitter at the time when it was live, and the
I bet there
moment
was like
which
a massive amounts of salt.
the moment at which TB won, I think about 15 seconds later, I saw Macintosh basically just go, right, I'm out, I'm not watching this crap anymore. And it made me laugh.
Oh boy, better get out the baby bottles and the diapers.
Mm.
They're crying.
Oh yeah, we can drink their tears. It is beautiful.
Delicious.
So that happened, and obviously lots of people aren't too happy about that.
Yes, what I found more interesting was the reaction to it. It's,
Yes, the reaction was
to-
just pure hatred, and a couple of people saying that, look, TB won the award. Obviously, there's something wrong with this industry. And I'd like
Yeah.
to see them quantify that, because there's something wrong with the industry. Well, this was voted on by the consumers. Are you saying that there's something wrong with consumers now? We should all have to like
Wow.
what you like. So, you really don't get the phrase "the consumers."
that's just arguing from a fallacy, isn't it?
Oh,
Because then in the end of the day, it was the consumer voting whether or not
yeah.
on who was to get the award.
Now, correct me if I'm
So-
wrong. I'm pretty sure that's how they did at least that specific award. If anyone listening to this knows any differently, please yell at me and call me a cunt for getting it wrong. Please do that. But yeah, it was very interesting. Game of the Year, which was also quite interesting considering that Bayonetta 2 was also on the list. Game of the Year ended up being Dragon Age Inquisition. Now, not really sure whether that was public vote or not, but yeah, there was quite a sigh of relief from SJWs after that, until I pointed out that Morrigan is a character in Dragon Age Inquisition who is hypersexualized, and I would say even more sexualized than Bayonetta. So I thought that
Funny
was
story about that, actually.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Yeah, funny story about that actually. One of the people that was allegedly judging the video game awards for the game of the year,
Mm.
said if Bayonetta 2 was game of the year, he would have quit the industry
Yeah, actually,
altogether. He was being a
I
complete baby about it.
These kinds of
yeah
people deserve to quit the industry.
Oh
Let's be
my
honest.
god.
yeah we
It's
should
Yeah,
open the
right.
door for them. We should make it really really easy for them to leave.
that's really
Yeah, I sorry, you go.
no. You have something because I
I
really
was just
can't
gonna
say much to that. I really think these people that try to bully companies into doing what they want, that try to get people fired, and then threaten to quit the industry. Why shouldn't they quit the industry?
mm,
Why? This kind of behavior really doesn't go. You're just making the place worse just by being there.
mm.
Yeah,
It's
you're kind of right by that. I
Let's
it
just
mean,
be
you've seen
unapologetic
people
about that.
like see, it was kind of like it was like the good kind of omen when Phil Fish like resigned from everything. But at the same time, like the amount of like sheer like negativity that's been coming from all this and like the gaming culture in general. Sometimes you kind of wish you want Phil Fish back. I
The thing
mean,
is,
it's really
Phil
that
Fish
bad.
Phil Fish was okay. I'm not going to deny that he isn't exactly very nice, but he
Yeah,
was. But as you can see from Fez, he was someone who actually works, who puts work into what he does,
yeah,
and as you've seen from this indefensible too, from the bigger fish to fry, or the fried
yeah.
fish, that he was so deeply involved in this whole racketeering thing that he was probably getting pressures from everywhere at the same time. And if then people badger him on the Twitter too, then of course he's bound to have a meltdown.
mm.
Yeah, it
Well,
was too much.
similar things happened to King of Paul when and Internet Aristocrat, which we'll get onto in a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, the human can only take so much abuse before sort of flipping out.
Because
Speaking of abuse, should we move on to our next topic?
well then yes, of
Unless
course.
anyone has anything else to
Nah, I don't have any objections. Let's go.
add. Have you guys seen? This is a pretty old one. Have you guys seen the King of Paul live stream with Geordie Tate?
The one where Jolly Tate went full, well, not really Macintosh, more Jolly Tate, more of the right wing kind.
More full Hitler.
Yes,
I
full
mean,
Hitler. It's Jonathan Macintosh wouldn't have full Macintosh wouldn't have hit it because Macintosh is a radical left winger, but this sounded very Nazi-ish.
he's incredibly Nazi-ish.
The other extreme.
I'm Timothy. I'm guessing you haven't seen it.
I try to stay away from King of Pole and politics boards like
Oh
that.
yeah, fair enough.
I've heard all these nice things about like what he does, but then there's like that looming bar of uncertainty, and I just kind of just want to stay away from it because I
Hey,
don't know
fair enough.
what's in store.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's gonna blame
But he
you.
was very cool for a long time. But he's always been slightly paranoid and when the leak on Nick Denton and the Western publicists came, he went completely paranoid. He really that's where the whole Gamergate cabal thing came up.
And he went after Monday Matt for perceived corruption and whatnot. He's always been quite the paranoid person. He just comes from slash Paul. I mean, that mentality is rife there. But anyway, to give you a brief rundown of what Geordie Tate said on the interview, because Sargon of Akkad and Socks were on there as well, I believe, talking to him. He basically stated he wants to take all gamers and gas them. He defended doxing as long as it was against Gamergate. And yeah, he it was scary to watch him completely dehumanize a group in the world and be able to say this shit about them.
As that stream was really convenient, and him being on there, that's probably why we're not hearing anything from him ever since.
Well, he went on another podcast afterwards. What was it called? The Self-Indulgent Podcast, I believe it was. And there he decided to yell at one of the hosts. Honestly, I think Geordie Tate is a train wreck, and we're just slowly seeing it start to crash.
Probably after saying the Nazi stuff, he was also getting pressures from Anti-Gamergate to stop,
Yeah.
Going full. We really need a right-wing counterpart for Macintosh, to just make the hashtag of that.
Yes, they went a bit overboard when they decided to take on Geordie Tate. He's a very interesting individual, and I guess now we know how Nazi Germany started. It's quite something.
George, I've read the Facebook post, and I've watched the part of the stream where King of Pole interviewed him on his stuff, and where he just dryly said, "Yes, I stand to all this, and I'm convinced that it's all legitimate like this." And I really guess the thing, the self-indulgent podcast. When was that?
That wasn't too long after the Geordie Tate on the King of Pole podcast, I don't believe. I'll see if I can find it real quick, if you wish. Because they afterwards had Socks on to sort of give the counter argument, the pro Gamergate side.
Yes, but well, that's not really difficult, is it?
Here we go, Self-Indulgent Podcast. I'll just quickly look this up for you now.
Because I wouldn't wonder if he went eerily silent after that. Simply because this meltdown of him is really it's convenient for us. It's really convenient for us. Let's not somehow sugarcoat stuff or hide behind righteousness. It's really convenient because it shows how extreme the people in influential positions, people with jobs, have become. With jobs that give them a certain amount of power and that other people want them to have. Because this kind of bile, this kind of hatred can only originate when there is when the accord is struck, when there is something true to whoever he's against. You can't hate someone that much if there is nothing to what your enemies are saying.
I just looked up the dates here. The King of Pole podcast with Geordie Tate was on the 13th of November. And the Self-Indulgent podcast with him on, where he decided to attack one of the hosts, I believe over sports, but it got pretty damn heated. That was on the 24th of November. So yeah, it was just
10 days later.
Yeah.
It's not that far back then yet.
Nope.
Who knows?
Honestly, I'd like Geordie Tate to keep talking, as I'm sure most people in Gamergate would. Just
You know what? He from now on he's the right wing counterpart to Macintosh. We're calling it full Tate.
Full Tate. Hashtag full Tate. Yep. If we can just put that on every abusive tag that we receive, that would be great. Yeah. I mean, words cannot describe the abuse that comes out of that guy's mouth. It's just quite something. Although, yeah, Gamergate, I'm sure, wants him to keep talking, because when you can mock a man or a woman simply by quoting them, you're doing something wrong.
That man or woman is doing something wrong then.
Mm.
But
Oh yes.
yes, there's that. But I think the reason is, of course, that it's really just in a very extreme fashion, a chord must have been struck. Something I always think is when people get offended, that's good because it exposes something. A chord is struck. Something true was spoken, at least mostly.
Mm.
So he must have been confronted with things that were very true that he didn't want to hear.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially when they had socks on. I mean, she openly said that what you're doing, she finds threatening, and that he should stop. At which point he sort of backed down because he's of the firm belief that all women have been oppressed everywhere at all times, including now. And
Oh right, that was in his Facebook post. Yes.
and to have a woman come up to him and say, "Look, dude, chill the fuck out," I think that really threw him off.
Yes, that's something that we can talk about because that's something that we see every day in these kinds of articles. That a lot of these news sites publish, and that is this whole. I wouldn't say hyperbole. It's more of a deliberate implication to avoid the commitment of actually saying something. And so whenever these outlets have something written where it says that this and that person speaks out for women, what it really does is it implies that women are this minority that has gone undocumented, that no one has ever cared about and no one has ever written an article about, and that struggle to have a voice to speak for them. But of course, if you call them out on that, then they say, "I never said that. I just said he speaks out for women in games." But
There are
that's really
implications
all
of
that
that.
is.
There are always
It's
implications with that.
It's implicating a lie in order to avoid the commitment of actually spelling the lie out.
Personally, I don't know about you guys. Have you heard of the Honey Badger Radio? It's
Oh,
a all-female MRA podcast.
yes, they do Gamergate stuff.
Yeah, they did briefly. They did some
Recently.
Gamergate stuff. Personally,
I do
I'd love
remember the
Jordan
one with
Hates to end up on there because I think his head would explode.
I've
yes,
never
that
heard
would
of that.
really.
Have you not heard of the Honey Badger podcast, Timothy?
No.
Oh, hello, Queenie.
And I do remember there was a honey badger one with David Silverini. That was one I listened to.
Yeah, that was a very interesting one. But I guess with that, unless anyone has anything else to say about our old friend and beloved author Geordie Tate, I guess we'll move on to the next thing. Now, the next thing, it's not been confirmed, so take what I say with the biggest grain of salt you can find, but if this is true, then this could be quite the victory for us. Apparently, Gorka have been accused of insurance fraud by us, basically. That we found apparently that they are eliciting insurance fraud. I saw a post about this. I saw a highly longly-winded legal document attached to it, and
This is
obviously
completely
it
new
meant
to me.
nothing to me. I don't speak legal. But yeah, that might be something worth talking about. Is this true?
Completely
Is
new
this...
to me. Where did you get that?
Sorry, Queenie, were you saying something?
Yeah, where was the post?
Yeah, it was on Facebook. It was on the Facebook group.
Oh, let me check.
I'll see if I can drag it up. But it was ages ago. I just saw it and thought, if this is true, that is the holy grail of evidence. I mean, we could actually legitimately close down Gorka over this.
Well, let's not get off the rails, okay?
Yeah, let's not, because like I said, I don't know if this is true,
That
So,
on one hand, but on the other hand, we already have proof of a lot of even legal wrongdoings on the part of Gorka. But that really is just even if it's true, it's just and on the other hand, it's Gorka, so I think it might even be true. But if it's true, it's just a contribution. It's an additional financial loss in a time of financial loss for Gorka, because they'd have to hire lawyers to go against that. If they lose the case, they'll have to come up for the entire thing. That's
so
all
I'd have to
money.
pay reparations and whatnot. That's what you guys call them in Americas, isn't it? Reparations, when it's like get fined by the government because you did a baddie.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Making sure I get my American terminology right.
Oh, don't worry, you're not missing much.
um, I'll find it later. I can't seem to find it right now. If I do find it, if I do manage to find it, I'll chuck it in the description when this goes on YouTube.
Alrighty.
Okay. So next up, I guess. Oh yes, this is a recent one. Grand Theft Auto 5, now illegal in Australia.
It's not illegal in Australia. It's just banned from Target, Australia, and
And
Kmart.
Kmart.
But
Yeah.
lots of large retailers are now refusing to stock it, with some of them actually going as far as to stop stocking. I'll stop using the word.
The only ones that have officially done that is Kmart after people were putting the complaint on Target. After that went through, people in Kmart were like, yeah, this is going off as well of the shelves because we don't want to have issues with these people as well. And but other than that, there hasn't been other stores really that we know of that has done the same. It's basically these two, which is still bad, because it shouldn't. Obviously, it's as a company is their choice, and they choose what products to sell or not. And we were discussing it last night as well, where we were saying, well, it's not necessarily a big monetary loss for Target. This a game that it already has been bought, like, for the PS3. It came back for the PS4.
Yeah, it was the release.
Most people already have it, so they're like, well, at this point we can't afford losing those little dollars of people who still haven't bought GTA 5. But it's sad because, not a lot of people will have the option now of going to any type of store and buy it. I don't know exactly how many stores in Australia has it, but it's really inconvenient sometimes that probably, the nearest store is probably a Target or a Kmart or whatever. If you want to go buy GTA 5, it's gonna
You're gonna be able to
happen.
do it.
You're not gonna have it there. And who knows what other game could get as well, off the shelves because of this. And as far as I'm concerned, right, Australia is a place where, it's having a lot of issues with people banning stuff off the shelves and things like that. So this is not like the first situation that it has happened.
Well, Australia more have been it's less banning things and more just not rating them, which is an even harder thing to sort of get around. It's not that they're stocking it and then deciding afterwards to take that back. It's more they're not rating the games in the first place. I mean, I have a couple of friends who live in Australia, and that sort of PC, got to keep things PC in video games. It's quite ridiculous. Sorry, I have a horrible throat thing going on right now. If
It's
I
okay.
cough, I
Well,
apologize.
something that we should keep in mind that we should perpetuate doing is collectively sending Target a message, or what was the other one?
Came out, which is I believe it's
Kmart.
owned by Target, is it not, or is it?
And that is that That's all these kinds of people really do. They bully a company or a person into a decision that they want, and if the company does that or the person, then they know if we bully him into something, he will do that, and they will come back and do it again and again and again. The abuse doesn't stop if you give them leeway.
Well, in response to this, I thought this was pretty damn funny. The Australians have made their own petition. Have you guys
The
seen
one with
this?
the Bible.
Yes, to ban the Bible.
Okay.
And I've looked at the petition recently. It's not reached its goal, but it's looking fairly healthy. Last time I checked, it was 11,000 signatures off its target goal, with 38,000 signatures signed up.
We've got to watch out though, because that might be there might be the same phenomenon as with Gaming Plus and what was the other thing? Kill All Men. People making a joke about political correctness and just making an example of something more extreme than they could think of.
And people
And
take
then
it seriously.
Yes, exactly.
Oh man, that's the ultimate trolling. That's it.
Then people do it seriously, because I think it might have even been Gnar, but I think it was another troll crew that did Kill All Men. Hashtag Kill All Men.
Oh, was
And then-
that them?
That was a troll crew. I don't know which one, but it could have been Gnar.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, was the
And-
hashtag Kill All Men, that was just from a troll group originally, wasn't
That
it?
was just trolling, really.
Yeah.
And feminism has
that's-
completely
that's
seized it and.
That is beautiful.
Serious. But and what's relevant for us is the other occurrence of that phenomenon. That's Gaming Plus.
Yes. Actually, that was the next topic, so we actually get to segue. Yeah, our next topic was going to be Gamer Plus.
God
And
bless.
They've
the
already-
parallel... Oh, Gaming Plus, sorry.
They've already done Gaming Plus. The Gaming Plus is a bit of an old joke. That was even from before early Gamergate times. And then the opposition really started to introduce a concept called the video game player. The one that is politically correct and doesn't play competitively.
There's huge amounts of parallels to be drawn between this Gamer Plus or Gaming Plus, and obviously where it originated from, the phrase just pluses on the end, Atheism Plus, which I don't know how.
God bless Atheism Plus. Okay.
Yeah,
It's it's such a dumb topic, in the sense that it's just, why would you try to make atheism an organized religion, like an organized religion? Like, I made a video not so long ago talking about normalizing atheism, and in that video I explained, atheism is just the lack of belief in a God. That's it. You don't have to be anything else other than that. You can be like a serial killer, you can be a humanist, you can be you can be anything you freaking want to be. There's no other rule other than you don't believe in a God. That's what makes you an atheist. And a lot of people were like, no, that's crazy. And I'm like, dude, like, where are you, sure, you can say that we wish all atheists would go for science and things like that, but there's atheists who, like, seriously buy little gems for luck, or like wear like red underwear to get love the next year, or things like that, like, they're superstitious atheists, because atheism is just a matter of not believing in a God, and that's it. And it goes the same with gaming. Gaming means you play video games. That's it. There's nothing else, nothing about it. Stop trying to make it like a cult, like an organized religion, when there's a set of rules that you have to obey, and if not, you're going to hell, basically. Like, there's a punishment over it. Dude, that's not how it is. If you play on the PS4, on PC, on Xbox One, hell, you play any Nintendo console, if you play like the fucking first PlayStation still till this day, You know, like, you're a gamer. That's it. You're a freaking gamer. You play games, you're a gamer. You know, the level of how devoted you are in gaming, that's a different story. But if you play video games, you're a gamer and that's it. It shouldn't be like, over that, you cannot like or approve video games like GTA 5 because therefore you're a misogynist. And Gamers Plus are not misogynist. And it's like, stop trying to control everybody, you know? This is not a cult, you know?
The bigger problem with Atheism Plus was really that atheism was supposed to be the American atheist community. I'm not sure about the West. The real West, more or less. The atheist community was supposed to be about going beyond belief systems, questioning belief systems, thinking by yourself, being based.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got signed up with a group that has the listen and believe mentality.
Pretty much, yes. And then people came into it and they started bringing in artificial belief systems that did have a specifically pronounced deity, but they are artificial belief systems which you are not allowed to question. And then, of course, the question is, how is that different from a religion? How is atheism then not just another religion?
Well, yeah, that was
Exactly.
the whole thing about atheism. It wasn't a description of belief. It was a description of a lack of belief. That's what a lot of people don't seem to get
And
when it comes
speaking
to
of
Atheism Plus.
there was something that I always never really understood. Was it Atheism Plus that coined the term social justice warrior, or was it someone before them?
I believe they termed the phrase social justice, but I'm pretty sure someone else coined the term social justice warrior.
I do recall one of them holding this long speech where he opens up with that he wants to rally this to fight for social justice, and so of course if he fights for social justice, then he more or less coined the term.
No.
Well, he definitely gave the motivation behind it, and yeah, it was PZ Myers, wasn't it, from Free Thought Blogs that choked Atheism Plus together, I believe. He's an interesting man.
Yes, I really don't understand how a scientist can be like this. It's really just, how does he even, if this is the standard that he applies to what he believes, does this the same go for his work?
Yeah.
Is his work similarly researched, or?
I believe apples will float because I do, so deal with it. Don't question my logic.
Listen and believe, man. Listen and believe.
Yep. We all have to listen and believe to our great leader, Anita Sarkeesian, and just agree with whatever she says.
Isn't it such a cult mentality? Like, just, you just have to believe us, you just have to believe what I'm saying, because I've studied it. I don't know any statistics or true studies, but you just gotta believe me, man. It's like, oh my god, this cult
It's not even that. It's not even that. They give you statistics sometimes, but when they do and they look at them closely, then there is always something inherently wrong with them. And then when you call it out, then you're being given strong labels. But
right.
speaking of Anita Sarkeesian,
yes.
Male privilege, 25
Oh
privileges.
yes, I forgot to put that down in the topics. I completely blanked that out of my mind, probably for the better. Thank you for bringing that back. That's scaled that really. Yeah.
It's just Anita Sarkeesian being a massive tumbarette at that point.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even Anita Sarkeesian. That's what blows my mind. It's all Macintosh. It's all him. He wrote that article ages ago, and he's just decided to make a video out of it.
He's the puppet master, man. That's what you gotta understand. Like, this type of feminists are controlled by men somehow. And it's like, what? Like, they have everything scripted by men.
You're the ones with the patriarchy, not us.
Yes, like, it just blows my mind, okay? Because, okay, like, I've been aware of what goes on Tumblr for a long time, right? Before Anita Sarkeesian even came relevant in my life. And I was like, well, that's crazy people, but it's not a big deal. And then I get to know Anita Sarkeesian and how he funded a whole campaign with so much money, and like, it's like, what are you gonna do with so much money? That's insane. And then, is lazy enough to drop some videos here and there whenever she feels like it. And
Yeah.
it just blows my mind. And I was just like, oh my god, everything she's saying is wrong. I don't understand her. This is the reason why people don't believe in feminism anymore, because there's crazy bitches like this, over exaggerating situations like this. They're not even relevant.
Well,
So I
she's more or less,
continued. Yeah?
she personally is seizing on that, but I
Yeah.
don't think she, in her mind, really is a feminist. I
Oh
think
no,
she's
he's
really
not.
seizing
It's a
on it because she already has admitted before she even started all this that she is going into all this with economic interest, that she's doing this as a what are they
Of
called?
course, because that's the profit right now. If you go on and say you're a feminist and then get yourself trolled, and instead of focusing on the good people who support you, you focus excessively on the trolls, and then people feel like more motivated to troll you because you're giving them the attention, then you make profit. Like, that's instantly what's going on. And
It's
then
the
over
age-old
that,
idea of don't feed the trolls. It's the age-old
yeah.
don't feed the trolls.
It's like this, man, okay? Like, I've always said this, that I've been on YouTube for a while. I'm a girl, and of course I've experienced harassment. Of course I've experienced troll comments and people being nasty to me and whatnot. But you know what? I have male YouTubers friends who have experienced, if not the same, worst, okay? Uh, and, it's incredible, but you gotta understand, they don't target because of the gender. They target everybody because they feel like it. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, thin, fat, anything. Like, the other day I was also talking about it, how, if you're like chubby, if you're curvy, if you're anything, they will call you fat, they will call you obese. If you're thin, they will call you anorexic. That's pretty much how it is. There's no in between, like, oh, you actually look healthy. No, there's no such thing for them. They will always try to, like, point something out, right? And that's how it is. Everybody gets it. Everybody will always get it. Unfortunately, that's how it is, man. And you cannot invest so much time on these type of threats like this, because it's pointless. It's only damaging your own self and psychology, I feel. But
Well,
over that, I don't
what
think she cares.
if nothing else, then all these kinds of arguments, that they always seem to contradict each other when you put them all together.
Yeah.
It really shows that there is not much to it. It's really just bullying people, looking for it and rationalizing it, and using politics to rationalize it for of all
Yeah,
things. And
absolutely.
that ties again to my tinfoily theory on why Jonathan McIntosh and people like this. What's that other rich kid called? The one with the plastic black glasses and the
Arthur Chu?
droid gate. No, not other two is not rich.
Oh, I
That
just know
hedge
he
fund
won
baby.
Jeopardy, so.
Um, what is
Arthur
his name?
Chur is so gross.
Um,
Agreed.
the one who held that long speech on how Zoe Quinn is awesome and
Oh,
he scores
yeah,
GTA 5 in
I
on the
remember that
presentation.
speech. He is quite something. Hang on a sec. I'll see.
Lifshitz.
Lifshitz, yes.
Yes,
Alexander
people like
Lifshitz.
why people are like him are there. It's really probably they originate from families that were very strongly left, that had very left beliefs, and of course left beliefs, strong left beliefs used to be that you have to dismantle the economic elite in order to break the hegemony in the society. And then these families, these groups, found next thing they know, they are the economic elite. So of course they need to pick up an altered version of their ideology in order to not fight against themselves.
Well, it's funny because that whole the whole idea of, we should rise up and take down the rich and restore economic balance. It's funny, it's funny for me because the one movement that was really, really gearing to do that, it was the Gamergate of the Economic Times, and that was, of course, Occupy Wall Street. It was not the police that stopped that movement. It was social justice that completely decimated that movement and left it a barren wasteland. It was their own children that destroyed their movement, and that just, it just blows my mind, the fact that the children that they raise are able to decimate their own ideology in such an effective way. It's quite something to witness.
It's sad. I think you're in Britain, right?
Yes.
I remember in Great Britain there was a similar problem with the in the 70s with the was it the communist demonstrations?
Yes.
To take down the system, and then suddenly all the female communists broke off and said, no, the problem is not the economic system, the problem is the men, and then they formed this second wave feminism thing.
That's pretty much how it works.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry, I didn't knew about that.
Yep.
No, guys, it has nothing to do with the politicians being corrupted or anything. No, it's the man.
It's the evil penises. The evil penises spreading forward.
I'm sorry.
Oh god.
Don't, man, laugh at my country all you want. They do some stupid shit.
The back to the privilege. The male privilege. Did anyone read the article apart from me?
Which one?
Which specific one?
The 25 privileges of a gaming male.
Oh yeah, I've read the article.
I sometimes try to avoid that type of stuff just to be mentally healthy.
I didn't even watch the video. I just read the article.
I think we all should.
Yeah.
Just to keep myself sane, because I do have episodes really deeply of depression, and I feel like that triggers me a great deal.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's like you do it. Okay, like
oh no, are you
people
triggered?
exist like this.
Just don't get triggered.
And the worst part is that there was no trigger warnings on the video, which is like, what the hell? Okay.
Pretty. We really need to petition to get a trigger warning on that video.
Yeah.
Well, not just that. Something that I wanted to remember is that there was something going around. Either it was on the Facebooks or on the Tumblrs. I don't quite really remember. I have to look it up again. But there was one thing going around, being the 25 privileges of a gaming female. And it was really some of the stuff is actually stuff that happens, and some of the stuff is relating to specific examples. Native Sarkeesian basically, and some of it is just complete bullshit. And I think it would be funny if at some point we could get enough women to participate in making a female counterpart to the 25 privileges of a gaming male.
That is actually on the works right now. Not so long ago, I got contacted on Twitter by this girl, Bridget, and we're gonna be talking about it because we have Girls of Gamergate. If you guys don't know about that, it's a hangout basically of girls who get together and discuss Gamergate, right? So basically, she came to me and she's like, hey, I have some girls and we're planning to do this. I was like, you know what? I love the idea. Let's get together. Let's discuss this. Let's discuss part by part what is going to be the counterparts, and then have the people record it, have girls record it, and then I'll edit it. I'll put it together and I'll upload it to YouTube, and I think it's gonna be a good video, man.
You don't have to even be proper refutation. It just has to be a parody, so it doesn't matter if half the examples are just complete bonkers.
Yeah, but we'll all be speaking about it soon, so hopefully it goes well. I have a good feeling about that video. I think it's gonna be not only funny because the point is not necessarily to make it like a parody, but to be like, there are privilege for girls in gaming. There are. Like, I've, I've gotten free items from people just because I'm a girl. I've gotten help from people because I'm a girl. Um, and that's in situations with multiplayer and online games where like my friends get in and they're like nobody helps them because they're a man, right?
Do
So
you, do you know that GIF that sometimes goes around, the one female gamer, I need ammo, and then from all the buildings there's people crawling forth and handing over ammunition.
You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's pretty good.
really, I've noticed this for like the longest time. Like, excuse me if this does, this is not intended to come off as sexist, but I genuinely think that the female audience of gamers, they get catered to way more than they think.
yeah.
And like, I don't know why this seems to be a problem that they're not getting enough representation. When when you have people on YouTube like Nintendo Fangirl who gets frequent donations and all this other stuff, and you're going to complain that you guys don't get enough rights? Are you serious?
Well, I can't
Well,
speak about that. So Queenie, would you concur with this?
Like, what was the thing?
The idea that a lot of female gamers on I'm gonna say Twitch live streams because it happens more often there
Uh-huh.
will use
Yeah.
obviously their sexuality to get donations while playing video games.
Well, babe, I'm gonna keep it really honest with you.
Yeah, go
That
ahead.
happens. That happens everywhere, even on YouTube. Like,
Oh
it,
yeah.
it always makes me laugh because, sometimes I show cleavage in my videos. And people like it. There's people, obviously, who doesn't like boobs? I like boobs, okay?
Everyone likes
So
boobs.
I'm like, I have no issue with boobs. But there's obviously girls who, like, like, do it to get the clicks and
Mhm.
to draw attention to a topic. And I am guilty of that myself. I am guilty of, like, I think if I really want this topic to be out there, I probably will show a little bit of cleavage over here, And it works. And then people there's always the people who are like, oh my god, you're such an attention whore because you showed cleavage in your video. Like, well, I got your attention, didn't I? It's like,
Yeah,
it's
really
just,
work.
dude, like, of course, like, but everybody on YouTube who uploads a video is looking for attention. So define exactly what an attention whore is, because everybody here is looking for attention.
Yeah,
So I'm
that
sorry to
mentality.
burst your bubble, but that happens.
That's one mentality I really don't get when it comes to YouTube, is calling people attention whores. It's like, you're on a platform where people are specifically looking for attention and in some cases get paid depending on how much attention they get.
Mm.
What do you expect?
Exactly. And then the comment itself is asking for attention. So, like, can I call them attention whores as well? Like, it's just an attention whore fest over here. Always in my comment section, that's pretty much how it is. And it's
It's
like,
just a whore fest.
I,
Sorry,
yeah,
attention
and it's a whore fest. Woo! That would be best if it was a whore fest than an attention whore fest. I'm just saying.
I
But
think the best
both,
way
yeah,
to shut that kind of argument down is when they just come along and say to you, "You're such an attention whore," then you just say, "Yes, yes, I am."
and you're
yeah,
probably
like,
getting over.
pretty much. I
Yeah.
have a friend who, her name is Girl Does Rants, and she's amazing, right? She's a great girl, and she shows a lot of cleavage, right? And somebody, like, writes them, in their videos, like, oh my god, you're just using, like, your cleavage so people click on your videos. It's like, yes, that's exactly why I'm using, like, of course, you just found the secret of this channel. Congratulations, like,
Wait,
of
this might be the
course.
perfect segue. Jacob, do you have any topic in regards to comics and sexualization there? Is that in the list?
Comics. Oh, are you talking about
Or
oh right, yeah.
sexualization of women in games? Do you have any
I
handy
actually
your
do
list?
have something.
I
Yeah.
I actually don't. No, I don't actually have a topic on here. What specifically did you want to talk about?
Well, it's exactly that, isn't it? It's
Just
this kind of dismay to female depiction, be it either through drawn images, through computer animated images, or just by women being there in front of the camera.
Hmm.
This kind of negative attitude to it.
I,
Oh
that's
man, I remember that. I remember an instance that I saw that in. Oh boy.
go on then.
Bayonetta, for instance, or where do we have it? Oh, then the classic that Dragon's Crown game, and
Oh
Oh
yeah.
boy.
Go
uh,
on, Timothy. Share with us your amazing tale that you obviously want to share.
no, I thought you had a subject on that because
No,
so,
actually, I don't. Other than the whole Bayonetta winning the Game Awards, which we were talking about earlier. Bayonetta
not
2 losing the Game Awards, but Dragon Age
yes.
Inquisition that has multiple sex scenes and multiple highly sexualized characters, in my opinion, more so than Bayonetta, that winning, and social justice warriors crowding around Dragon Age Inquisition and saying, "Yes, finally, we have stamped out da patriarchy and my soggy knees."
My
Uh,
son.
The thing is with Dragon Age, the trouble with Dragon Age is that BioWare has pretty much allowed itself to be bullied into going full SJW. And of course, whatever
They
they
love
do,
it.
regardless of if it violates the self-contradictory code of totally not religious morals, they're going to ignore that and praise it anyway, whatever BioWare brings out. And so it's not that I don't like BioWare products. I like the first two Dragon Age games, absolutely. I didn't care if the second one kept recycling its rooms. It had just had so much dialogue in it and so many little side stories. I just really like that. But the thing is that they're going to ignore whatever Dragon Age does, um, just because it is more or less on their side. At least as far as a professional company that tries to stay out of all sorts of drama can be. Because
Well,
then that's really what it is with Bioware. What do you lot think?
with Bioware, it's an interesting sort of company, really, for the SJWs to sort of try and co-opt. I mean, they do have very forward-thinking games. I mean, I believe they were the first game that, at least that I can remember, that had, at least definitely from big AAA release, that had a homosexual couple possible in it, and sex scenes in it that you could optionally, take part in. Um, that was the first one that I was aware of anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. So they definitely are sort of trying to push the medium forward in that emotionful, relationship-based sort of direction, which hell I'm all for. But
I'm all against that, honestly.
I'm
I
okay
don't
with it.
agree. I think if they want to push even more of that than they already have in the Dragon Age games, then they should make that a known game. A dating a CG animated dating sim,
Well,
and
we already have
keep the Dragon
dating
Age
sims.
with the fantasy.
Well, yeah, don't do it with one of your existing properties. If they're listening
But that's what
now,
they're doing,
don't do it with
isn't
your
it?
existing properties.
I'd say if they want to push that even more, they should make it a known game. Or
The
what I
touchy
hope
feely
for,
happy sunshine game. Yeah.
yes, the really happy sunshine game. What I really hope to see one day, who knows, maybe in years, there's going to be Tumblr, the online role playing game, an MMO with conditions instead of poisoned and stunned and the like, triggered and annoyed.
I'm just imagining, imagine the character creation screen though. Do you want male, female, otherkin, multiple personality? What do you? It's just gonna go on for ages.
These different labels come with different abilities and different other traits, and you'll have to take a faction in the beginning. You'll have to take either SJW or anti-SJW. and that will pretty much define what abilities you have.
If you pick anti-SJW, you just get immediately kicked off. Kicked off the game.
And IP ban too.
And no, but seriously, I really think if BioWare wants to push it even more than they've already done, and they've already done it a lot, then they should make that a known game and keep it in the fantasy with Dragon Age.
Hmm. I definitely
Because,
think.
for instance, Russell T Davies. Remember Russell T Davies?
No.
Yes, Doctor Who, the
I'm not.
showrunner. Okay. I wasn't as much disgruntled with him as I should have been, because he had one really good argument going for him, and that is, the whole argument with then make it an own show. He already did that. He already had queer as folk, so he already had the whole make the gayness a show of its own. So if people want this kind of fixation on all these alternate sexualities, alternate made up genders, more or less, then they should make that content of its own.
I do think that if we were to make Tumblr the MMO, like I said, all the character creation things, like, it would all have to be in sliders. Like, you can't be a binary choice; it all has to be sliders. And I'm just wondering exactly what the gameplay would be if we were to make something like this. I mean, we could have
like a
a
card
win
game.
state or a lose state.
It would be a bit like a card game. You know, you have bring up statistic, and then for instance a certain anti-SJW class has an ability called close eye, and then they take a close look at the statistic and can dismantle it, and then that causes them to be blocked, but the SJW takes damage, and or an anti-SJW has a skill called say something offensive to Group X, and then people of Group X get triggered when they receive that. That kind of stuff. But
I
okay,
rate
I
it
think
10 out of 10. It's like Skyrim with feelings.
we're going too far off the rails.
Yeah, we're going a bit off the rails here. Okay. So the next thing, how many of you? Well, I know Queenie, you are, and Timothy, I know you are. Victor, are you on Twitter?
Yes, I'm on the Twitter.
You're on the Twitters, and then I'm sure you're on the Twitters and the Facebooks. That's what the kids call it nowadays, right?
I'm on everything. I even have my own Tumblr.
Hip with the kids.
I'm hip and happening.
I have to be on everything. I'm a YouTuber.
Oh, well, yeah, fair enough then. Promote like a shameless whore, that's my advice.
No, I don't like to plug, especially in public, but, you know, if the opportunity arises, maybe. We'll see.
Oh, I plug, don't you worry. I'm shameless. Okay. With regards to Twitter, I'm sure you guys have heard that Rockstar Games has been suspended once more.
For the 8th time!
Oh my god. Funny story. I was actually lurking on Twitter yesterday as that happened. And I actually ended up sending a report about Brianna Wu about that, actually, because she's the one that issued the report to get him off. And the funniest thing is, like, I was even around to see the post that he made. He made a parody Patreon and said,
yeah.
He basically said, "Hey guys, come fund me. I'm a Gamergate."
Yeah, give me money and I'll leave
you know,
the internet.
they couldn't have that at all. No, that was against everything they stood for.
Did you not see Brianna Wu? She took screenshots of it and said, "Look, they're trying to blackmail me."
Yeah. It was funny. Rockstar's trying to blackmail me.
It's like, one, he never mentioned you.
I had to report. I cannot tolerate that. I'm sorry. I reported her promptly.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was just
definitely.
wow.
Yes, but everything. I don't understand why people take anything she says seriously. seriously by now, even on the anti-Gamergate, because since the dog. You remember the dog? Brianna was
Yeah.
dog.
Which?
Yeah, Crash.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's really the ever since that I understand why are there people even taking her seriously? You know, I can't imagine how many Jew jokes Paul must be making about this whole thing with the dog. Because it's really just that. It's really just it's like people in a medieval Western village seeing people get ill, and they think, oh, the Jew must have poisoned the well. Well, this is the dog is getting ill. Oh, the gamers must have poisoned the dog.
Well,
Yeah,
there was
really.
actually a thing about that, wasn't it? A troll account said that I went round to your house and poisoned your dog, and I
Yeah,
believe
that was a troll account. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
confirmed.
And then she said that Gamergate came round to my house and killed my dog.
Because
Okay.
that's the only thing they have to blame. That's it. They
Yeah,
don't have anybody else to blame. It's only us.
it's quite something. I mean, words cannot describe the stupid. Sometimes it gets too much to handle.
And
Gamergate
so I don't
poisoned my
understand
dog.
why they take her as the paragon for the banning of Roguestar. I think she's acting out a bit because she wasn't, as far as I remember, she wasn't really was she mentioned in there? Was she
Was she
mentioned
mentioned
Yeah,
in the?
I think
in the parody Patreon?
I think she was,
Was she? I couldn't
but
see it when I was.
not directly, but it was like a little fucking nod at her, and it was like, wow, really?
Oh yeah, well,
Um,
that whole thing was a nod at
honestly,
everyone.
yeah, it was. It was actually pretty amusing to watch. It's a shame he had to get taken down. She instigated afterwards too, and then that's like the most shocking part is like some people in anti-GG, once they act out, they just keep on going and going and going, like it's like a gravy train, and then they want to pile that on top of us and have us deal with that in Gamergate. We have to sit here and look and listen to that, and then they have the gall to say that we harass them. It was satirical. I don't see
Oh
what the
yeah.
problem is with that.
Well, even if you look at Brianna Wu, I mean, she entered the Gamergate thing voluntarily. She decided to come after us.
Right.
We'd never heard about her until she decided to come after us. And same with the
Gotta have
night
those
Anita
groundhogs
Sarkeesian.
come out of the ground somewhere.
Same with Anita Sarkeesian. She decided to go after Gamergate. It wasn't. We were going to, probably, anyway. I know I wasn't going to because I don't like Anita Sarkeesian, but Gamergate was probably going to leave her alone. I mean, they were
Yeah.
only interested in Zoe Quinn, and they were only interested in Zoe Quinn because of Nathan Grayson.
And the other.
Oh, and the others, but Nathan Grayson being the main one, like the big one.
Nathan is the one with the most evidence, but the others had stuff going too.
Oh yes, definitely.
The one with Grayson was just the one with the clearest proven case of nepotism. Because the thing was that when people started badgering her and Grayson with questions on this whole thing, and then Stephen Tortillo. Oh wait, they asked Stephen Tortillo, and Stephen Tortillo went to Grayson, and Grayson then said he had the relationship with Quinn sometime after he wrote the review, and then people came up and said, no, look, there is this, and what there is in the review I think was written. Wait,
It wasn't a review.
in the blog
it was
from
promotional
Ira and
material.
Johnny, there was this Facebook conversation with Quinn, where she says she got close to him during the Vegas trip, and the Vegas trip that was promoted with articles was 10 days before the article was written. So Grayson had outright lied.
Well, yes. And I believe he Stephen Totillo admitted that he only found out about the relationship after he confronted Nathan. So, he really doesn't he really doesn't keep track of his employers and their relationships,
Willing to believe
or
it
his
because
employees. Sorry.
it's become too normal.
Mm.
You know, remember from the Game Journal Pros that one journalist wrote, they wrote, "Come on, who of us hasn't slept with a game dev or PR agent? Am I right?"
And then we all sort of collectively face palmed and went, you have literally just shot yourself in the face. It's not, you don't say that. It's like Leigh Alexander during her speech saying, yeah, I've got an agenda to push. Yeah, I'm biased. It's like, well, fucking, you don't say that. Like, even the most basic human being would understand. Maybe I don't say I'm a highly corrupt individual on stage with a bunch of people watching while I'm under investigation.
That's just because they feel so safe in the way things are, and in the
They
long
feel so
term, that's going
safe,
to bite them in the
except
back.
they've decided to go after a bunch of autistic nerds on the internet and decided to attack them on the internet. It's like, good fucking luck. We are going to win, and we are winning. Um, you really picked the wrong target to go after in the wrong way. The only area in which they're winning is on the TV front, on the mass media front. But we aren't even fighting in that corner yet.
I know this is like semi off topic, but I
Go on.
like I'm a gamer and everything. I'm a huge gamer. In fact, I'm like so social that I lurk every day on Twitter. I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing, but like I really hate that the internet has become such a beacon for buzzwords and triggers that like
Mm.
whenever a gamer is discussed, oh, automatically assume they're autistic and they're bad. That autism goes hand in hand with being bad or immoral.
Hell no, autistic people are awesome.
Autism gets thrown around on the internet way more than it does in real life. On the internet, autism is a bad thing. I want to change
Except
that
in
one
Gamergate
day.
circles, I don't get. I understand that most people view it as a negative, but especially in the Gamergate circle, I see it used as a compliment to sort of say, you went full on and found out everything you possibly could about this. You showed true devotion to this as a topic, whatever it is,
Right.
to the levels of autism. I see it used more as a compliment, and I think if that continues, that is a fantastic thing. That if we can take a negative and view it as a positive.
For that we will really need to keep watch that and make sure that this whole Chan culture is maintained, because that's where that really comes from.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's using swear words out and insults out of fun, and they eventually become something positive.
Yeah, darknet
Because
content,
it's
basically.
like with
Yeah.
faggot, well, the way it was used in 4chan. You know,
Oh
it's
boy.
faggot is by now it really just means someone on 4chan or one of us.
Hmm. Yeah. It's incredible how fast the meanings of words change, especially on the internet. Like how people interpret different things. Okay.
And
So,
the only one who would get insulted by being called a faggot is someone who is homophobic. So
yeah. Okay. I don't really want to go into any of the big topics till Queenie's back. I don't want her missing
Queen
out on stuff.
Queenie is gone.
Well, she's just nipped off briefly. For anyone listening, she's just nipped off. She's muted herself. That's why she's being quiet all of a sudden.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
wondering.
Yeah, she's just messaged me saying be right back. We'll go on to this topic simply because I don't think there's much to say here. Have you guys seen the Adam Sessler and Jimquisition panel where he basically came out in support of doxing?
I
Yeah,
I
yes, I
didn't
did.
watch it.
Mm,
Timothy?
Yes, I did.
yes. Basically, Adam Sessler was stating that under the Freedom of Speech Act, if you disagree with him, he has the right to call you an arsehole, which he does. he also has the right to find your personal information and get it out there, which is not under the Freedom of Speech Act. So I'm unsure exactly where he got his law degree, but he wasn't anywhere reputable.
He has a law degree?
No, I'm making shit up here. You see, that's
Okay.
what I do. I'm an entertainer. Haha. But yeah, he said that. Now, Jim from Jimquisition, Jim Sterling, was also on the panel. Now, I didn't actually see the full thing. I had to switch it off after that. I needed to take a break. I'm unsure. From what I could tell, he didn't react that extremely to it, if he did at all. Timothy, did you watch the whole thing? And can you?
I honestly, I only watched like the first 15 minutes. Honestly, I just like really after that, I just kind of clicked off of it. And honestly, I saw image macros floating around on Twitter, and I was like, really? We've supported you on G4 television back when you had your X Play thing going on, and honestly, I agree with your views on video games, but you have no right to put somebody's personal information that is inexcusable in any sense, no matter what. That is private information, and you have no business doing that. It's a federal offense, and really, you are out of line with everything you said. You may be able to call people an asshole because that is freedom of speech, and that's protected in the amendments of the United States of America. But doxing is another thing, my good sir.
The thing is, theoretically, in absolute theory, if it was just the information, I wouldn't see the problem. But the thing is, statements and implications. When you dox someone, when you put their information out there, you're not just putting their information out there. You're sending a non-verbal signal. You're telling people on the internet, here he is. Do your worst.
Yeah. It's a war banner for everything negative. I don't like it too much.
It's like in all sorts of shooters when you have this pinpoint device where you point it at something and then the artillery knows where to shoot. And that's basically what doxing is.
Doxing is quite horrific, and I dare say any sane individual would say, doxing, it kind of sucks. Don't do it. Don't be a douche. It just amazed me how many apparently gaming media sources like Adam Sester, like Jim Sterling, and like Geordie Tate, because he used to be a writer for Star City Games, which do a lot of Magic the Gathering related content. How many of them have come out in support of doxing? It kind of blows my mind, and it kind of makes me want to dox them. Not because I want something bad to happen to them, but because I want them to understand exactly what they're saying.
Yeah. See, these people, they've never gone through doxing. They've never been doxed. There are people on the internet that have, and they know how it feels. It's really shitty. It's really shitty. And I say that because, like, it's like I said before, it's a war banner for people to attack you with, and I guess in a good way of telling it and explaining it. I'm not really good at that kind of thing, but basically, it's really, it all comes down to the fact that they do that and then they want to follow up with that and say that they're right. You just basically told a huge group of people to attack someone. That you can't justify it. It's not right.
Yeah, you're attempting to create a hate mob against what you perceive as a hate mob. So a bit of a hypocrisy there.
Or less what you perceive, but what you claim.
Right.
We have to start seriously considering things, especially in the field of Gamergate, because there it's just so common to be just a black lie.
Yeah.
It's not that they perceive it that way. They want you to think they perceive it that way, because they want others to perceive it that way. but they themselves often probably don't.
Well, I honestly I hope they don't, because if they don't, it gives me a little bit more gives me their intelligence a little bit more credit than what it's due, and I don't like thinking that I've supported stupid people, basically. I supported Jim's
And
position. I thought Jim's
the
position.
the docs. It might be that this doxing thing is a more normal thing in the news than in the media than we think. If I think of, I remember when I talked, I did once mention off air something that happened in Germany recently. The thing with the Bild and the Stern basically doxing this leader of this trade union, Klaus Wazelsky, and they were really putting out his address and where he goes to work and so on. But it was really it wasn't some person on the internet. It was professional newspapers that sell physical magazines throughout the country that did that.
Hmm. And it was
There's
a
not some.
national sort of newspaper. It wasn't just like a local newspaper. It was
No, it was national.
countrywide.
They were national newspapers. Of
Hmm.
course, it did something to piss off half the nation, but still, you don't do that.
Well, if they're only pissing off half the nation with that kind of shit, it's not good.
I don't think all of Germany wanted to go to Berlin at the national holiday.
Hmm.
But that's basically what happened. He made he made all train drivers go on strike in the over regional areas exactly during the national holiday.
Yeah, it's quite something. Quite something indeed.
Imagine an American trade union doing that during what's it, the 4th of July.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
would be very wow. That would not turn out well at all.
No,
Also,
it
the
could
Americans
not.
Americans would probably not even notice it because everyone drives with cars there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, public transport's a much bigger thing in Germany, from what I understand, isn't it?
Sadly, yes. I mean, not sadly, but what's happened to it has been sad. It's this whole the only lesson I can say before we go to the next topic, the best way to summarize it, keep it at limits with this whole libertarianism thing, because it has privatizing things that are state institutions that has massive negative negative
Consequences.
consequences. There is lots of bad things happening just because of it.
So, yeah, I think to summarise what Victor's saying, don't be a douche. Um, also, just added on to that message. Generally, don't dox people. Don't be a douche. Next thing, I don't know how much material we'll get out of this topic, but we'll try. We'll stretch it out because we're shameless whores. IA leaving and his final speech to Gamergate.
The final speech, is that the Vocaroo or the interview?
The solo thing that he did, when he was just sort of going on a bit of a rant.
The little Vocaroo where
Yeah,
he
the
said
Volcaro.
Is that what the website's called? I didn't look.
Yeah, that's what it was, the Volcaro.
I
Okay.
stand in alternate form with what Sagan of Akkad said about that. You know that this is exactly the wrong course of action. That we should put our money where we want it. We should finance those who we want to see in the industry, rather than just hoping that they get up in their business on their own. We have to change the system.
We
have
can't just destroy it. We
Yeah, I
need to
agree.
build another one to replace it, or else we'll end up in the
Yes.
same situation as we are now.
This other one is going to need money to get itself rolling first.
Yes. And
Which is
honestly, with the amount
why
we've donated to charity and whatnot, I think we can, as a movement or as a grassroots revolt, we can support it. And you look at the other things we've managed to
And
support.
what he also said is be aggressive, keep attacking. Okay, that makes sense because it's keeping the enemy under pressure, and when they're under pressure, they make more mistakes, and the more mistakes, the more openings to exploit.
Mm. And I think we are still attacking. I mean, emails are still getting sent. The only difference is we're not attacking them as vocally on Twitter or on Tumblr or on Facebook or anything like that. We're not vocally going after each individual person because we've realised it doesn't really get us anywhere. I mean, these people have already said all the stupidest shit that they could possibly say. We've made them lose the debate time and time again. Their followers are so radical and so blinded by their ideology that they refuse to move.
And
So
there is
yeah.
some bad news. You remember last time I said maybe we should try this Operation Adult Seal, and I tried it for a short time, but it didn't. I tried it once, but it didn't work. No, it didn't
Which
find any
operation was that
traction.
exactly? I get mixed up with the names.
I just made it up. I just called it based on baby seal. That is to make viral marketing campaigns for those things that are clean or
Oh
have been built
yes.
up. But it just failed because the attitude seems to be we shouldn't have this kind of quid pro quo with clean companies, which I disagree with because standing against corruption is at least, if nothing else, it's an indicator that you don't need it. Your company can run without it.
Hmm. Well, at least it was worth a shot, I guess. Yeah. Well, any other reactions and feelings and emotions? I mean, I know Internet Aristocrat sort of said that we're becoming the new Tumblr pretty much. That we are, using lots of Tumblr expressions, and we have like the Gamergate hug group, and we use phrases like signal boosting, and he's worried that we're going to become the new Tumblr.
Um,
I wish, yeah, I don't really see that happening yet.
Personally, I've been following Internet Aristocrat ever since he made, the old, Zoe Quinn controversy videos,
Hmm.
and I've been vocal on Twitter all this time, throughout it all. I've seen everything just unfold under my eyes, and I've just wow, okay, I'm just blown away by the amount of just sheer content I'm just looking at. I agree with what he said on his book group. I really do, because it does seem that as the time goes by, when he did leave, more Gamergate supporters and figureheads. I'm not saying all. I'm saying more. Were setting up their own Patreon account and asking people to fund them, when really we should be fighting that kind of thing. He said it best. He basically said that if we're going to fight people having their Patreons to fund them living and to fund them making content, and they're not like game developers or something, it's not okay. We need to stop that kind of mentality. We are becoming them. It's more apparent day by day. And the thing about it is, really, I can't agree more, because that's exactly what it is. And the harsh reality of it is people don't really see it happening. They don't see it's a big deal. It always has been ever
But
since
we do
Gamergate
see it
ever
we
started.
do see it happening. Just the form in which it's occurring is not something we see as threatening
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's really I disagree strongly because we're at a point where we have an industry that is crawling with people who are willing to blacklist and do whatever they can to lock out, to exclude anyone who opposes their practices. So of
Right.
course, to a certain extent, we need to build up something anew, and
Right.
that won't work without money. People
Right,
need to,
right, but
the people who do that for a living, and who have to do that without an industry supporting them, they need to get that money from somewhere.
My my
I
closing
don't
thought about
agree
this.
with how Patreon has this whole monthly thing. I think Patreon funding should be like they have as an option per product, but but I actually think that's not necessarily a bad thing. I was critical about the Patreon thing back in early Gamergate days, because then it was about those PR agents and those game journalists and those game devs that publicly claim to be poor in wherever they go. They claim they would be the starving indie dev, and at the same time they're all pledging to each other 3 4 digit, not four, but three, each of them pledging to each other 3 digit amounts per month. And I always think, okay, if you keep pledging this money to each other, why are you doing this? Or rather, where is that money coming from?
Mm.
My closing thoughts about like the whole internet aristocrat leaving is I'm gonna miss the guy. I mean, no doubt he did the most for Gamergate than anybody did, and you gotta applaud him for that because he practically just led the whole movement pretty much. Him like he was the biggest part of this whole movement. I thank him for what he did. It's actually a really good service. Without him, I'm
He
not sure we would have even lasted a month
he only
without
did
getting shit on.
major contributions, if you ask me, because he was more or less preparing for that. He was already looking for exactly that kind of information when it was starting, and he was
Right.
already looking for it beforehand. He was because he's already covered the whole what's it, Mighty Number 9 thing before.
Yeah.
So he's been having a close eye on that field long before all that.
Mm.
I feel really uneasy with him leaving personally because like the day after he left, people were starting to compare him to like an evil dictator or something. Like they tried to make him like worse than he already was. Like people already like were really sketchy. People I know on Skype and everything were like so sketchy on following him because they didn't know how this was going to turn out, and people were comparing him to like since in that vocal recording he used a line from Hitler. They automatically assumed, hey, he's using a Hitler thing. Maybe we should have reconsidered following him or having him be one of our spokespeople when it's just a quote. And really, I mean, he's a big part of Poll, and you should expect this kind of thing. And the quote does not make him an evil person. People are defined by their actions, not their words, most
Mm.
times.
It's like
That's all I really want to say about it.
it's like, well, just on the fact that we should judge people on what they do and not what they say. It's similar with
Right.
definitions of things. Like, if you look at the dictionary definition of the word feminist, I dare say we all fit into that category. Do we think that men and women are equal? Yes. Okay then.
Yeah, we love women. We
But-
love female attention.
Yeah. I'm totally okay with boobs.
It's human nature.
Yeah. But it always seems to me that it's, do you believe in equality? Terms and conditions apply.
Yes. When people bring that up to you, you can debunk that pretty easily, and that's simply because all supremacy movements have always gone on about equality and how they want to bring equality. Don't forget the United States. Timothy, are you in the States? Do you remember
Yes.
how that was during the segregation? Well, the campaign wasn't the campaign called "Separate but Equal."
Yes, it was.
Wasn't that actually part of the white supremacists?
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Separate but equal. They're totally about equality, are they? Actually, the Nazis even did that too. They had the Gleichschaltung, these campaigns where they want to bring equality into all areas of life, and basically they were putting in place an organization that keeps all all the trade unions in line. That was what it really was. Then, of course, equality is, of course, the core component of communism. That's really the goal of it. And communism is not a hate group, really. That doesn't really fit the comparison. What other hate groups do we have in modern day Earth?
Oh, hate groups?
I honestly just call it like an.
You have people like the Black
I call it like
Panthers,
an
the new Black
ideological
Panther Party.
standpoint.
They're a hate group.
Yes, the Black Panthers, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if
The
they
Ku
have
Klux
an
Klan.
equality thing going on.
Well, yeah, the big ones, obviously, the KKK.
I personally don't think.
I'm pretty sure. I have no evidence, and I'm just guessing, but I'm pretty sure somewhere the KKK are claiming they'd be for equality too. So it's bound to happen. That's really.
Well, they had. I saw this years ago, so don't ask me to try and find it, because I'm not going to be able to. But I'm pretty sure I saw a video of like a pretty high up KKK member, basically signing up to petition for black rights, and he said, like, I'm fine with you guys having equal rights, just stay away from me. The whole actual equal but separate idea. So that's definitely been a claim that they've made previously.
And in Australia, they've done that. The feminists have done that too. They've started doing law enforced curfews and other methods of gender segregation.
Wait, law enforced curfews, like
that was something
gender-based?
from Saga Nova Card. That
Oh,
was from
God.
some This Week in Stupid episode.
Oh god, I know. They started implementing. I think it was in Japan, implementing female-only subway cars, wasn't it? Or was it
Yes.
train cars or subway cars?
Could have been subway cards, yes. But I think
Yeah,
the
I thought
Japanese
that
would treat that with a lot less would do that a lot less harmfully because all sorts of gender things. When you read Japanese or translations of Japanese talking, they often say that Westerners and specifically Americans are particularly sensitive with all sorts of gender issues. So probably the Japanese wouldn't handle that as harmfully as people in the West do.
It just, yeah. I remember reading about that, and then Anita Sarkeesian tweeting out that, she's totally in support of it and she would love it if America did the same. At which point I sort of threw up a little bit in my mouth and then yelled at her that, it's different cultures. They're operating very differently.
Because especially the Anita Sarkeesian types wouldn't have that big an audience in Japan. If you see, you remember that image going around of Westerners complain about it and women make their own games, with all these dating sims where you play a woman and there's all sorts of men who want relationships with you, and and in other ways there's a lot of games and comics and the like specifically made for a female audience. In that mass, we don't see that in the West, and the coincidence is in the West we have this kind of bullying the industry that's already there into doing that. And of course, to a certain extent, I guess the fine young capitalists wanted to introduce something like that in the West, but building something like that, that would be capitalism. We can't have that.
Capitalism is patriarchy. The patriarchy, as they call it.
We can't have that. Pastry, that's from the MRAs. That's
Yep.
from the that's from
I
the honey
listen
badgers.
to a lot of MRA podcasts because out of feminism and MRAs, I find the MRAs slightly more tolerable. Saying that, there is a ton of stuff that they say that I very adamantly disagree with. But you should always give both sides an equal opportunity to talk.
I say the MRAs are less hostile, and
Oh,
they have
God, yes.
more legitimate and more importantly quantifiable cases to make.
I would say the MRAs they are just as hostile as feminism until you like say to them like, yo, I'm not actually an MRA member. I'm just like a neutral. I'm just coming in to have a look around. Then they'll sort of realize, oh, okay, we'll cut it down. We'll be nice. And I think that's primarily because a lot of people, a lot of the men and a lot of the women in the MRA are people who have been burned. These are hurt individuals, people who have actually financially or emotionally or physically been hurt by feminism. And a lot of them are very, very angry individuals, and it's of no fault of their own. I mean, most of them have had horrific things happen to them, and genuinely horrific things. So I find their anger, although it is still anger, is a lot more justified.
Yes, so I think I'm not quite sure what it is, but there is something. I do understand what their problems are, but there is one thing that always sort of appalled me, and that was their emphasis on masculinity and how masculinity has to be promoted and emphasized. And
Mm,
while I do oppose to the way that this whole intersectionality thing is propagated, and yes, that does remotely relate to Gamergate. I've just got to say, what's that game called? Label Maker. Um, and but the way the negative thing is they really emphasize masculinity as this thing that you have to have, and I think none of both sides there is really in the right. I think you shouldn't force anyone to be more or less masculine. And I find that's also where some of my more controversial side comes to be, and that's I don't believe in John Money's concept of gender identity. I don't believe that you're the gender that you feel like being.
I would agree with
Because
that.
for instance, with me as an example, I wasn't an all masculine child. I had a few Batman toys. But I also had two Polly Pockets and one of those plastic baby dolls. But that doesn't mean I have to wear women's clothing and get offended over everything.
Mm. I'm definitely not exactly your. Well, I think you'll find this a lot in the gaming culture in general. I mean, most gamers, especially those involved in the Gamergate movement, aren't your typical dude, bro, masculine guys. I mean, for one, I can tell you right now, I'm very feminine. I have long hair. My hair is longer than my girlfriend's. You know, I have
I don't
a
think
lot of very feminine qualities. I hang out with more female friends than male friends.
that's the big issue that I take issue. That's the thing with which I would take big issue with the MRAs. But speaking of gender politics,
Yes.
wasn't there one big topic? Oh
Was
right, we wanted to skip that.
um.
I was referring to Shirtgate, but
Oh, yeah, well, if you want to talk about fucking Shirtgate now,
Shirtgate.
let's open that. Well, you've opened the tin of worms now. Let's watch them squirm.
Uh,
So, Shirtgate. We
two
managed
things.
to land a tiny little satellite on a comet moving through space at ludicrous speeds. Amazing time for science, and people are bothered about the T-shirt that this scientist is wearing. Hmm.
Timothy, what's your opinion on this?
Shit, I'm just blown away by what happened. Like I know I've said that multiple times in this whole hangout, but like, really? Uh,
Yeah.
he's doing all this good work for humanity, and you just want to nitpick on the type of clothing he's wearing. I don't
It's
think it's
kind of
offensive,
ridiculous.
not one bit. It's a shirt that has women on it, maybe half nude, showing like half nudity, but it's there. I mean, it's a shirt.
But
I mean, you
yeah,
can't just go around and crying wolf, and then when it's something you like say if it were like men on a shirt half naked, you guys would not be complaining.
Or to be more direct, the protests that go on, like the topless protests that they do, and that sort of stuff, where they actively just walk around towns completely topless and showing nips and all, and say that that's empowering. But if you're enjoying it, that's oppressive.
The thing with those shirtless demonstrations, I really think the shirtless demonstrations aren't really much. There isn't really much to them. Those are really just outbursts of desire for attention of people who suppress that otherwise, and all of the we're doing that to empower ourselves or to smash the patriarchy. That's really just justifying taking your clothes off and going around shoving crosses into your bottom.
No, I saw that protest as well, the anal protest. That was quite something.
That's all it really is.
One parallel I'd like to say is, Timothy, you have to go? Okay. Well, I'll let you give your final plug now, and then I guess me and Victor will keep on going for a little bit. So if you want to give yourself a shameless plug, I'd suggest doing it now. Timothy?
Timothy, do you know what right now is?
Sorry, I'm right here. Thank you so very much for having me, guys. Really, I didn't mean to like interrupt the really good discussion because I was actually listening in. But thanks for having me, you guys. Thanks to all that watch this after it's being recorded and everything, and when you came to come, watch the live stream. I love the Gamergate community. I love everybody that hangs around it. You are just all really great people to talk to and converse with. This is Retro Video Game Nerd of YouTube, reminding you to game smart and keep playing those games. Be a good consumer and don't buy into the bullshit. Thank you so very much.
It's been great to have you on, Timothy. Thank you very much.
Okay, retro video game nerd. Okay.
Yep.
So, where were we? Shirtgate.
Oh yes, the interesting parallel I found, that if they decide to do these topless protests, or like the anal protest, where they decided, for those of you who are watching who don't know what I'm referring to, I'm referring to a protest. It was outside a church, I believe, where a radical feminist group decided to show up with crosses. They stripped down and shoved crosses up their anus in order to protest against the church's treatment of, I'm guessing, women. Yeah, it's quite something. If you guys haven't seen it, I'd suggest having a good look. But I guess this is the point where I put in a trigger warning. Yes, these women really do shove crosses up their asses. Yes. It's quite disgusting. If you can't handle that, then yeah. But this whole thing, it baffles me, because if women enjoy watching other women do this, which women do, it's empowering. It's it's motivational. It's wow, these women are going out topless. That's really courageous. But if men enjoy it in any way, it's us being sexually predatory. That parallel doesn't work in my headspace. The fact that one group enjoying something is empowering and the other group enjoying it is negative in some way.
That's part of a far spread political correctness originating culture. I'm going to quote someone who I'm not going to name. And that's that they judge everything based on the axiom of male heterosexuality equals evil. Meaning, if you're a straight woman, then that's still slightly evil, and if you're a gay man, that's also still slightly evil. But everything needs to be judged based on, is it male heterosexuality or not? That's the core important thing, and everything that is neither of both is good.
It seems like almost an extreme. Um, I can't think of the word now. Yeah, extreme anti-conformity. They see heterosexuality as being the normal, and then they see, I don't know, some part of their lives as being shitty. So they decide, okay, well, what's normal obviously isn't working. Heterosexuality, that's normal. Let's attack that.
Not sure. Not sure. I think partially it's still it's the axiom thing. That's why for instance feminists have somehow managed to successfully defend Lena Dunham,
Yeah, that I.
whom I personally, you can say what you want, I still think she's a child molester. No other way of putting it.
Well, yeah, I mean, by dictionary
Um,
definition, she is.
and the uh, the other thing is what also is. You see that in feminism in general. You see that, for instance, in Canada, with all these serious discussions on to redefine all straight sex into rape. All that
Oh
really
god, yeah.
is people lodged into a specific political a place in the political spectrum, um, fixed into it, and then showing signs of the opposite and looking for excuses to pursue it. What I mean is in reference to this whole campus rape culture thing. What that really is people that are lodged into the far left, and I mean really the far left, the kind of left that's basically the left counterpart to anarchism. Um, and they then see how everyone is sleeping with everyone, and they don't like it. But they can't fight promiscuity because that would be right wing, because they've been fighting for sexual liberation for a long time.
Mhm.
So, what they need to do to fight against this is just to redefine all of it into rape, and then fight against that.
Well, there was a really interesting discussion on how do you increase, because if you look at the statistics a lot of these people tout, it shows huge, astronomical increases in rape statistics over the past couple of years. At which point you've got to ask yourself, well, how do you increase the amount of rapes that happen per year? There's the obvious way, you go out and you rape people. And then there's the not so obvious way, which is, like you said, you change the definition. And all of a
Um,
sudden, all this
what
other
I
stuff
want,
that happens.
what I'm trying to mean is that what those people claim to be left, but they're actually they're just closet conservatives. That's what I mean, really.
Mm,
They're
yeah,
by nature conservatives. They don't like sexual liberation, but they can't fight against sexual liberation because that would be conservative.
no, I was just simply commenting on your the use of statistics. Some of these people use like the changing definitions. I just wanted to
Yes,
make
but
a comment on that.
the thing with the statistics, you can actually even dismantle just by looking for patterns. And the pattern you often see, especially with rhetoric like how Great Britain is such a horrible place for gender equality, it's really just how come from what you read that it seems that women are the most oppressed in the places where feminism is the strongest.
Yeah,
You know,
doesn't really make much sense.
you know, if the Ku Klux Klan ran an industry, and you read an article on how there is this widespread culture of hate against white people in the industry, how serious would you take it?
Hmm. Well,
I wouldn't take it very seriously.
it's similar to what Rebecca Watson from the Atheism Plus said once, was that no, she was oppressed for years, but it was only until feminism came along that she realized that she was oppressed. And that always struck me as a very, very stupid thing to say. I mean, how can you be oppressed? How can there be
But
misogyny,
I
actual
think this is
hatred towards you, and you not
this is
notice it?
the left-wing counterpart to that guy who turned into a conservative Christian after being a gay porn star for several years. It's people being indoctrinated and then rewriting everything they experienced in the past into something horrible.
Mm. It really is quite horrific. And that, That's one thing I like
And,
about Gamergate is we call each other out on bullshit. We try not to indoctrinate, and we actively say like, you know, yes, I found this out, but go read it yourself. Facts check me. Make sure I'm right. If I'm wrong, call me out on it. I want to be right. Make
trust
sure
but
that
verify.
yeah, trust but
And back on Gamergate with the Shirtgate, that's what it was initially about.
yes.
Is I think this is the important bit. Okay, I think
Hit me with
we
that
need
truth.
to up on.
Hit me with that truth.
The important bit is Shirtgate is a good example of, for us to show people, to show outsiders. Look, when these kinds of people go on the barricades over female depiction, over female sexualization, then you can point to that instance and say, look, this is another example of the same thing. Are you seriously going to take it seriously with stuff like Bayonetta? Are you seriously doing this?
Yeah.
It's,
Bayonetta is such an unusual character to go against, just back onto the Game Awards thing, with regards to the depiction of women, so I guess it kind of ties in with Shirtgate. I think it's such an unusual choice of character to attack, simply because she's highly debated in the feminist circles. You know, even feminists can't decide whether she's empowering or sexualized. And the game itself, it seems like burlesque, the game, honestly.
I think the problem with them is that they find that it's among feminists it's probably a bit of a thought versus emotion thing, because Bayonetta makes them very uncomfortable, but at the same time it is actually exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
Would be if they were consistent.
It's a sexually empowered woman who don't need no man. I mean, I played all the way through the first Bayonetta game. I haven't actually played the second, because Wii U. Ugh.
Because if you take all the criteria that are used to define a male power fantasy, that's basically what she is, just gender reversed.
Oh yeah. At the end of the first one, she kills God. I mean, it doesn't get much more like empowering than fucking killing God. Come on.
It's really just. And I think that makes them uncomfortable on two fronts. It makes them uncomfortable because it works against their ideology. They've gotten what they wanted, but they can't abuse it now. At least in theory, they shouldn't be able to. And the other thing is, of course, still its depiction of an attractive woman. And if a woman has nothing to show for herself than looks, then of course the mere image of a woman is going to be competition, and they're going to have a problem with that.
Yeah, this Bayonetta thing, it really boggles the mind.
And if these kinds of people abuse companies that way, and you deduce that they might abuse people in their personal lives that way, then it might not be that far fetched that these people do actually not have much going for them other than their looks.
It seems like sometimes it seems like these people, especially when they criticize things like Bayonetta and things like Shirtgate and depictions of women, it seems like they want all women in media to be the Virgin Mary, but also be sexually liberated. Like they want them all to be pure, holy, untainted things that are absolutely beautiful in every way and are pure and, you know, obviously virgin, but also be insanely sexually dominating in the sack.
That's what I mean by emotion versus thought. Rationally, they should be all for it, but they can't because deep down they don't want it. That's why a lot of them are I call closet conservatives. And Shirtgate is really a useful case for us because when there's outsiders who say oh look, this Anita Sarkeesian is showing how women are sexually depicted, you know, and the one with the strippers or the one women as background characters was that one.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Then you can point to this and say, look, that's the same political movement. It's doing the same thing, and I look at that case. Are you really saying that this is something to take seriously? No, it isn't.
The whole women as background decoration, because I know one of her examples was Watch Dogs, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here because I haven't heard any anti-Sarkeesianer go after this specific example this way, and I think it's something that needs to be said. I mean, it really disappointed me that even Thunderfoot left it out, and I love Thunderfoot's videos. She uses the example of Watch Dogs as females as background characters during a specific mission where it's basically it's an auction and they're selling women off to be part of a sex trade. And she's saying that, yeah, these women are background characters, and my reaction to it is, yes, they are, and it's horrible, isn't it? That's why you're sent to take it down. You're actively sent afterwards to shut that organization down. I mean, if not even the bad guys can be sexist anymore, what's this world coming to? Like, we can't even show sexism in a negative light anymore.
Well, my suspicion is that they'd want to have what they want to have more is more antagonistic versions of Label Maker. You know, the extent of what the villain is doing is offending people, and you have to take it up on yourself to punish him for that. And yes, it has to be a him. It can never be a female villain.
Well, yeah.
And he can't be black. He can't be gay. He can't be trans. He can't be anything.
Yes. If you have any sort of anything other than straight white male, he has to be a good guy, or at least neutral, at least.
And well, not necessarily, because it's like with those check your privilege posters. You know, if you're a black man, then on one hand you're black, but still you're a man, and you might be straight for all we know.
And also the fact that even if you prove, yes, I'm gay, yes, I'm a transgendered woman, other kin, and I still think you're an knobhead. Even if you come up with that, well, they'll just come back with, well, you have internalized misogyny. So, okay.
That's just rationalizations for dismissal. That's nothing other than that. But something that we might keep in mind with this whole shtick with criticizing things the way these kinds of outlets do is I think we've gathered enough examples of hypocrisy on that, and I have a constant suspicion that this hypocrisy is deliberate. It's deliberate because it is all the rhetoric, all the political rhetoric is really just to serve as a justification, and what they're actually doing is attacking everyone who is competition, who isn't affiliated with them, and just so happen to not call quote unquote call out people that they're affiliated with on what they do. For instance, that was my theory. It is a bit tinfoily, and there is an example against that. That's something I wanted to segue in because that's a topic I would like to bring in.
Oh yeah, if you want to bring in a topic, go ahead. I just like to say real quick is a bit to lighten the mood a little bit. Oh, hello, we have a
Al-Maliki.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well.
Okay, Far Cry.
Yep, Far Cry.
They got what he deserved. They got what they deserved. Or rather, they didn't deserve that. Not like that. That's not really it. But they got what was coming to them. I'm pretty sure we warned them. I'm pretty sure people were telling them, look, they're going to tear your game apart. Look, they're primed over here. See Jonathan McIntosh's tweets. They're already in the start blocks to wait. Where's Yaya gone?
Oh, he seemed to have just shown up and then immediately left. So not really sure what's going on with that.
Okay. Someone must have warned him, and they didn't listen. And now, well, there's been articles on how the game, I think it promotes violence against Asians.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And how he is Asian, but he's still a fluently speaking American. You know, this friend villain something. And they really got what they just got what's coming to them. They took the SJW side. We saw tweets of Jonathan McIntosh pretty much revealing that the news outlets are already getting ready to slander Far Cry 4, and guess what happened? Far Cry 4 got slandered.
Oh yeah, completely. You can't please these people. But just on the topic of crazy conspiracy theories, I saw something the other day I just like to quickly give a nod to, 'cause I couldn't find the image afterwards and it pissed me off. But just a little conspiracy theory. Anita Sarkeesian was on the Colbert, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
What was the one video game she managed to squirm out when she was asked?
That's the one that they were talking about. GTA.
GTA. And which game got banned in Australia?
GTA.
Conspiracy?
I don't
Wake
think
up,
so.
America.
I don't think so. It's a bit far-fetched, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, I just saw that and it made me laugh.
No, but we've already established the ties between Macintosh and several of these news outlets. So all that reaching all the way to AV isn't that far-fetched.
No, it isn't, and I think there is definitely some shit going on there. But yeah, you wanted to bring up a topic specifically, didn't you?
That was it.
Okay.
Far Cry 4.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Far Cry 4 got what they deserved. Well, they didn't deserve it really, not like that. I heard this, but they took the wrong side and they got what was coming to them.
Well, yeah, they tried to please people that cannot be pleased. That's what happens. If you try to please the unpleasable, it's like trying to satisfy a 5-year-old at his birthday. You know, no matter what you do, it's never going to be quite enough.
And my tinfoil theory is that they were catering to it, but they were simply not financially affiliated with the right people.
Mm.
And that would be the true reason why there's bad articles written about it.
Man, Ubisoft has just been they really fucked up this year. They really done fucked up
With Assassin's Creed.
with everything. I mean, Far Cry 4's been panned, as you know.
What do you mean
Unity was panned by actual gamers, and then the Crew, they decided to attack reviewers, and it's come out, and that's been panned. Ubisoft,
Wait,
what are you
what?
doing?
What?
Sorry?
They attacked reviewers. How did that happen?
Oh, did you not see the statement they made about the Crew? Basically said that no early release copies would be given to any reviewers.
Oh, that, yes. Okay, that I
And
remember.
That was obviously in wake of Unity.
I think I thought you meant really attacking in terms of
Well, this was obviously aimed at reviewers.
Yes, but this is nothing really big using connections. That's really just a publisher making a decision that if I were them, I would make too. I'll be dead honest. If
I would have delayed the game.
If these kinds of things came out about that game, then I would avoid having more reviewers calling those out early on.
Why not just
Definitely.
delay the game? That's my whole query. Is why not just delay it and work on your PR
because
some
there are
more?
deadlines attached to them, and I'm pretty sure these kinds of
Ubisoft
deadlines
have more
are
money than God.
pushed forward.
They just released Far Cry 4. They have the money. We know they have the money. Right.
Yes, but the thing is, the people that make the decisions in terms of what money they're given as resources, they probably don't have the money because they have a certain they need to this extends to the field of economy. They have certain shareholders to keep happy, and the budget that they have is probably very narrow because they need enough to put out as dividends.
Mm.
That's the other thing. That's what actually event status is going on about. Went on about in early Gamergate.
Yeah. Just feel like Ubisoft are just to quote another YouTuber, I feel like Ubisoft just keep digging. They've dug their grave, but for some reason they just keep digging.
I think Ubisoft needs some sort of major revival.
Yes.
They need to revise certain things about their policies and try to make a new start.
When you look good beside EA, you're doing something wrong.
when EA looks good next to you,
Oh yeah, one way around. Oops.
then something's wrong. Yes. What's the next topic?
Yes. Next topic will be yeah, now we're moving away from the Gamergate topic specifically that I have. So if you have any last stuff that's Gamergate related, I'd suggest
Nah,
airing your views.
anything now I'd save for next time, which is
Alright.
hopefully sooner than.
Sooner than later, yes. Alright, well, let's save our juicy things for now. We're just going to tease our audience with what's going to be coming up next time because we are horrible, horrible teasers. Excuse me while I unbutton the top 2 buttons of my shirt. Okay, I'll give you time to shamelessly, if you wish, Victor.
No. Anything we have left, I'd rather save because I don't have them in my head right now.
Yeah, like.
So I'd say go on to the next topic that you have.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to roll it up.
Right. Next time on. Wait, what's the name of this whole stream?
I don't actually have an official name. I need an official name actually. I've just been calling
an official name. Okay, this I'm going to repeat at the end. Next time on Need an Official Name, we're going to talk about IGDA, and because there's been stuff coming out about IGDA and certain connections that they have that are probably the reason why this IGDA chief early on made this clear blacklisting threat.
Okay.
And
what else? So we've got next time we are going to be discussing IGDA and bullshit coming from them. Who else?
Yes, among other things. Yes.
So
what's your next topic?
That's going to be next in the Gamergate stuff. I guess now we just move on to the general feminist stuff.
Oh, right, feminist edition. Okay.
Yeah. So if anyone listening does not want to hear about feminism, well, really, you should have turned off ages ago because we've been kind of talking about it for a while. But
yes.
Now's the point when we go full feminism or full anti-feminism or whatever you want to call it. Feminism critique. Okay, we'll roll with that. I guess we'll start with something that actually I've got a bit of a backstory to this. Now my girlfriend is studying psychology, and she's eventually going to be going into women's studies because she's curious as to exactly what's on the course. Now, on her course, she came in contact with a very specific video, a YouTube video. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it by now. It was the drunk girl.
Okay.
No, it was the drunk, the drunk girl video that.
The drunk girl. Okay.
Yes, it was meant to be.
I just don't really know how to connect the drunk girl with Gamergate. It's just.
Well, it's definitely got ethical concerns. I mean, this guy, this 20-year-old guy, I can't remember his name. The main director behind it grabbed a bunch of actors and said, "Hey, I want to do this sort of like prank skit thing. Can you just pretend to like try to get this girl home?"
Oh, you mean the blatant lying practice?
The what? The what?
The blatant lying practice for the sake of narrative.
It was completely faked, and afterwards, I know Honey Badger Radio have done an interview that I've yet to listen to all of, so I'm not going to bother quoting it because I don't know exactly where it goes from there. But they did an interview with one of the actors who was involved in this quote-unquote social experiment. Social experiment, for those of you who don't know, it was a, like I said, quote-unquote social experiment where a woman walking around in the middle of, was it Hollywood?
Some American city.
Yeah, it was some large American city. I think it was Hollywood Boulevard, but I could be wrong, so don't
She was
quote me on that.
pretending to be drunk,
Yeah, she was pretending to be
and
drunk.
people were coming up to help her, and then ended up taking her with them.
Yeah, people come up to help her and, well, help her being, try and take her home and sleep with her, presumably, although none of them said it outright. And then it came out afterwards that this social experiment, all the men who came up and chatted her up were actually paid actors who were paid to do that.
Not
And
even that. Not even that. It gets more extreme. I've only seen that on the Tumblr. I've only seen that specific video on the Tumblr. But the woman, the actress who played the drunk girl,
yeah.
She made a public apology. She didn't know it was that either.
Oh, did she not know? Oh God.
She didn't know either.
Oh, so this
Thought it was going to be.
main director guy, I can't remember his name, and he's killing me now. But so he was the only one who knew, pretty much. Huh.
Well, probably there were some people in the crew who knew too, but the
Well, yeah,
actors
like
didn't.
cameraman and whatnot. That's insane. That is insane. That kind of blows my mind a little bit. But yeah, general idea. Guys repeatedly go up and try to take her home, and it's shown as a social experiment. And yeah, it's shown as being bogus. And in response, another YouTube channel made a counter video to it, which was actually a genuine social experiment where they got an actress and they said to her, like, yeah, you're going to be pretending to be drunk at midnight in this very shady area of town. So it's not middle of the day Hollywood Boulevard, and you'd expect more creepy people to be around. And I believe out of 10 men who came up to her, only one propositioned her for sex, like tried to get her home. And in fact, went so far as one of them put her in a cab and paid the cab driver like 50 quid to just like take her home because he wanted to make sure that she was safe.
Okay.
But
it's been opened now. It's all just fraud. It's
oh
all just
yeah, it's
artificial
completely.
fear mongering. I just wish there were more people in the stream to see if someone had dug up the actual reasons for that, because there must have been some financial incentive for all this happening. This can't just be political agenda.
They didn't. It turns out, though, which is even more interesting. This is I did get from the Honey Badger Radio podcast. So if you want to verify my sources,
I got mine from somewhere else. I don't know where it was right now.
But what's very interesting is they didn't. The actors who were in it, at least the male ones, they didn't pay them. They didn't pay them, and they didn't make them sign release forms for the footage, which legally you should do. And like as already known, like no one knew that this is what the video was going to be used for, and this has affected them in quite serious ways. Like the specifically the man who was in the interview. If you watch the actual video, he's the guy who tries to force her into a bus. That man has been harassed on the street. He's had women come up and yell abusive things at him. He's been fired from his job because of this. Not because his boss is, sexist or anything, but because the negative PR that he was bringing to the company was just too much.
Because I'd say what would really be recommendable is they are more than one actor. So something that they could do is to try and make a collective lawsuit.
They are doing.
Oh.
Yeah, everyone except that guy, actually.
Okay.
He seems like the most genuine nice guy I've ever heard, because these horrific things happened to him, and repeatedly through the interview he was saying, this guy's only 20 years old, I don't want to sue him for one mistake he made,
Well, then people should tell him, no, you should sue him.
That's what everyone on the podcast is saying.
Negatively affected your life. Deliberately, just for the sake of fear mongering.
Well, that's what the people in the
Use you
podcast
as
are
a
saying.
tool and affected your life this way. Of course, you should retaliate.
And that would be my response. That level of compassion even if he wasn't an actor, that level of compassion shown in a podcast, I've never seen before from anyone really. So that kind of blows my mind.
Oh, that's. I don't agree with that. I think at that point that's no longer compassion. That's just stupidity.
Well, he already knows that there's going to be a lawsuit against this kid. Like, there
Well,
is going
every
to be a
dollar helps.
lawsuit. There will be filing charges.
Every dollar helps.
True. He probably will end up doing it once he realizes exactly what's going on. But
And
that was
this
his gut reaction. Was I don't want to ruin this kid's life.
I'd theoretically say it's just fear mongering, but I've got the feeling there's more to it. There must be that must have been part of some bigger business model. There must have been some financial reasons because this kind of scam, and there were actors that were scammed. There's nothing other than that. Why would someone do this? Why wouldn't someone hire genuine quote unquote male allies to do that? To do this kind of fear mongering video. Why scam people? It must be part of some business model.
Yeah, it's quite something to witness, especially
because I'm pretty sure there's enough self-loathing loathing men around that are willing to do this.
Yeah, especially if they're going to be seen in a video with a woman such as was in that video, because I ain't gonna lie, she's fairly attractive. Let's say lots of guys would love to be in a video with her, even if it is of that nature, because
that's the one really fascinating thing about feminism. They're really a hate group that manages to attract the demographic that they're centered around hating.
Like
to
black people joining the KKK.
Pardon?
I just said it would be like black people joining the KKK if
pretty much, yes.
The parallels.
Pretty much.
It's quite something.
And that's really the big fascinating thing that the feminists accomplish, that they really get people to loathe themselves in this way and to lock people into this catatonic state. In which a lot of them are a lot of the so-called male allies. That's the other thing. They aren't even inclusive enough to call them male feminists. They have to be male allies.
Yeah.
It's because men are the enemy. That was second wave. That was those British people from the 70s.
Yeah, I apologise.
Men are the enemy.
With regard to my entire country for our collective stupidity, I do apologise.
Well, it wasn't the British men. It was British women in those demonstrations that said no, all this is wrong. We have to embrace this new ideology, and that is totally going to save everything.
Yep, penis equals evil. Well, there've been Sorry.
It's just a separate iteration of cultural Marxism, really.
Oh yeah.
Wait a minute.
Waiting. Oh, okay, he's muted himself. So yeah, with regards to... Oh, you're back. Never mind. Didn't have to fill in that dead air quite so badly.
No, don't worry. Okay, so...
shall we move on?
But... fear. Wait, there is something. There is a component to the video, that is deliberate fear mongering. Deliberate fear mongering in an industrial way. There must be some way that we can use this in arguments. What do you think?
Are you suggesting that we use fear mongering in our stuff?
No, I mean we use this instance of fear mongering as an example for how these kinds of ideologues operate, and there are a lot of genuine ideologues among those journalists.
I think if we were to point it out, it would definitely be positive. Specifically that video, especially because I've not seen that many responses to that specific video, and I would like to see more done about it, especially given the gravity of the situation. I do think it would be good to talk about it, keep talking about it, keep pointing it out when it happens, keep the facts, keep the statistics going. That's one thing I will always say is fantastic about Christina Sommers, is she constantly rolls out facts, statistics, verifiable things to try and stop the fear
I've got to
mongering.
agree with the feminists on Christina Hoff Sommers.
Sorry?
She's a closet. I've got to agree with the feminists on Christina Hoff Sommers. She is. That's nothing negative to Hoff Sommers, but I think she is a closet anti-feminist because she uses logic.
I
But,
think she's a first
everything.
wave feminist because I've seen these
Mm,
people repeatedly, and I honestly think she's a first wave feminist.
if you look at the campaigns that first wave feminists have launched, the kinds of and really they've been horrible ones. They've been hateful from the start. It was just not as obvious because there was a genuine thing back then to
Then
fight.
what would you call them? Because I don't think they're going to give up the word feminist. If they were
Well,
going to
no,
do that,
they're not going to give up the word feminist. But the thing is, everything that what Christina Hoff Sommers wants to do or wants to accomplish is completely pointless because she's trying to hijack a hate group for something positive, and that is never going to work.
well, it's more like the group has been hijacked by.
That's what they keep trying to say. But the thing is, something that we've noticed, and feminism is involved in that too. But those news structures do that the same way. Feminism is an authoritarian movement, meaning everything is done from the top down, meaning those above know what's best for those below, and what that means is what a movement stands for really comes down to what do the people in the upper echelons, I don't know how you pronounce it,
Echelons,
how people in the upper echelons are.
upper echelons, yeah.
And if you have people like Andrea Dworkin and Catherine McKinnon in the upper echelons, then that's in the upper echelons, and that's what really defines what it is.
Mm.
They're
Just
a hate
depends who
group,
gets up there.
and Sommers is never going to hijack them. You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
I wish her the best of luck. I think she's a fantastic woman, but
She definitely that's the thing. She does her research.
yes,
She's definitely from those who
But I like
willingly
that.
take on the label. She's the best, but she's just not really a feminist. Sorry, but it just goes against everything that they are.
Well, if you look at the, well, yeah, I guess if you look at the dictionary definition, I guess everyone's a feminist. But
Yes, it's a thing is it's like with one example is probably that if you take a lot of not just feminists but social justice in general rhetoric, if you take a lot of their assumptions and you try to think rationally, think them through, think the situations through, you always come to very grim conclusions. That's why often I actually respect TERFs more than other feminists, because they take feminist assumptions and come to the conclusions that result from it.
mm,
And what that means is if men are the enemy, then of course trans men are traitors. They are changing sides. They're going to the enemy.
yes,
And when I see on Tumblr that's recently that's been a big thing. The whole campaigns against demonizing minorities. The whole demonizing minorities thing is really just feminism backfiring. That's really just what it is. Because the demonizing minorities thing is this. There are these smaller campaigns on different places that raise awareness to be particularly careful and particularly distrustful around telling women to be particularly distrustful around trans women, because they might just be out to get into women's bathrooms to get more opportunities to rape women, and that would be demonizing minorities. But all I see in that is feminism backfiring, really, because what is it? They painted men as these predatory creatures, these wolves that are only out to get the innocent sheep that are women. So of course, if you have a wolf in sheep's clothing, why do you wonder why he's treated like he's a wolf? Of course, they're going to think, well, if all men are out to rape women, then of course trans women are just men trying to find an excuse to get more opportunities to rape women.
Yeah,
It's a logical conclusion.
that, and also if men are the enemy, we should get rid of them. Hence, kill all men. Hence, the whole theory of we should kill 90% of the male population and keep 10% for sperm donations and whatnot.
That, on the other hand, is really just that's just misandry, and it's irrational misandry above anything else. That I have no respect for, because the TERFs at least come to rational conclusions, but that's really just completely irrational. Because if you go through the scenario, of radically reducing the male population, there are species that already do that. There are lions. Lions do that, but lions are patriarchies. And what that is this is a political movement claiming to fight a patriarchy by creating a patriarchy.
Well, it's the whole supply and demand. If you have very small amounts of men, physically they're going to be in demand. It's quite simple, People like sex. People need sex to stay healthy and to have kids.
Because what would be the chain of events that would happen? First, it would be small amounts of men would be kept captive for sperm donations. Then women would start asking, wait, if human rights are so easy to take away, who says that at some point my rights aren't going to be taken away either? So they're going to have to set the men free, and then there's this tiny population of men and this large population of women. So of course, suddenly there would be a kind of phallocentrism. Everyone would be trying to flock around men, and everyone would listen to everything a man says.
Suddenly they would be chatting us up in bars, and we would be the ones getting catcalled.
It's really just complete stupidity. It's really fighting a patriarchy by creating a patriarchy. It's really just why do you do this? Why are you so stupid?
This is what happens.
And don't forget the trolling. It didn't even start out as a genuine campaign.
But it was made into one, and that's sort of where I'm picking it up from. It's
the trolling.
Well, yeah, the whole trolling thing with regards to Gamergate as well. It blows my mind that we have trolls in the Gamergate movement. So does every movement. But we set up like the Gamergate Harassment Patrol. We set up investigations into the people that are harassing people like Anita Sarkeesian. I believe we found that guy who was harassing sending death threats to Anita Sarkeesian. We said, hey, here he is. You can fucking arrest him for harassment.
Is that right? He was in Brazil somewhere.
Yeah. It just amazes me that we do all this stuff to try and stop harassment, yet we are still the harassers.
Well, the thing is, with him being in Brazil, I see how that didn't change much, because then she's just going to go ahead and say, well, he might make the effort of driving all the way to the States to get back at me. Because how else do you explain that? How do you explain people on Facebook groups getting banned because some member feels unsafe?
It's ridiculous.
What is he going to do? Fly across the planet just to get revenge on over a Facebook disagreement?
If you look at the amount of murders committed online, or the amount of assaults committed online, proportionate to the amount of threats made online, it's completely out of whack. Like, it doesn't happen.
I can say now, these kinds of these news structures and these journalists that we're on about, they're never going to be honest. They're never going to see. Oh, look, they set up a harassment patrol. They're doing something about it. They never, because they've never been honest from the start. They don't believe what they're saying.
The mainstream media are going to be against us because at the end of the day, we live in a world that has a feminist media. The media are controlled by feminists. They keep spouting out the feminist ideals.
I don't quite agree with that. I think
Well,
there
definitely
are
from the
certain
UK
there are certain
perspective.
Yes, from the UK perspective, because UK is one of the countries most crawling with feminists. But the thing is, there are certain news companies that are probably just doing what is currently the best or the least harmful for them.
Mm,
And currently we have this widespread culture of tolerating feminist abuse. So of course, feminist abuse is going to happen in masses, and they're going to have to put up with it unless they cater to it. That's
yeah.
what with CNN and so on is really happening. Because imagine what with all these small the ones that are really sort of conspiring, not really, but sort of conspiring, are these small tabloids, these internet sites that don't even print newspapers.
Yeah.
Um, Imagine CNN. Imagine Anti-Gamergate applying to get a story on CNN, and CNN simply declined. The outburst of all these tabloids on how CNN is having more and more misogynistic trends, and how it is becoming more and more of a conservative news site, news channel, and so on and so on, would be horrendous.
Mm.
So of course they're going to cater to it.
I think they should. I think one thing I do see in the Gamergate movement that I would like to stop is the fact that a lot of Gamergate members will not talk to anti-Gamergate members.
Oh, I participate in that trend. By now, yes, absolutely.
You don't talk to Gamergate members?
I've given up on it. They're too far gone. They
Mm.
they
No,
keep
I would
forgetting
agree with
stuff.
you. I would totally agree with you. Other than the fact that it's the internet and it's an open space. I mean, I often talk to anti-Gamergate members. I'm polite at all times, of all times I can be, and I try to keep it as civil as possible, even if they descend into insults. Because at the end of the day, it's not them I'm trying to convince. It's the people watching. It's the
Because
people 3 weeks down the line that stumble upon that conversation.
it's just when I see people when I bring people up and I tell them, look, this and this and that and this happened, and then they just summarize it as a misogynistic rant. Examples over examples. No, it's just a misogynistic rant. Then you just think they're too far gone. You can't argue with those.
Well, then you just ask them, well, why do you think it is that? Why do you think it's
I
misogynist?
think
And challenge them. And
I think the reason why, really, partially, one of the reasons is a lot of them have never, ever in their life experienced actual misogyny. So, of course, they're very prone to defining everything into it.
well, yeah, and if you look at the actual term misogyny, the definition, and you look at what's happening in the outer world, there is very little of it. Hatred of women.
Hatred of
Hatred
women. If you want to get genuine hatred of women, what you need to do is you take the conclusions that feminism brings up, stuff like kill all men, and you think of some rationalization to turn that back on women. Then you more or less get misogyny,
Yeah.
but that never happens in real life.
Yeah, if there's a kill all women or anything like that sort of movement, then yes, that's misogynist. And I think
Because
I speak for most people when we say we're trying to get rid
if
of it.
people were to say stuff in the lines of, look, traditional women's roles have all been replaced by companies, and in a lot of them men already outperform them. So actually, there's no, and once the artificial incubator is finished, there's no real reason to keep women around. So actually we could just get rid of them. That kind of stuff is misogyny, but you never hear that ever.
Well, I would argue that no. I would argue that that's a scientific basis. If he decides he hates women and that's his motivation behind getting rid of them, then that's misogyny. Otherwise, it's just sort of generally being a douche. I'm a stickler for definitions, by the way. When it comes to misogyny, it is specifically hatred of women for nothing other than the fact that they are a woman. Which I think is very, 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 very rare. I've never seen true misogyny in my life, anyway. Ever that I can think of. Well, definitely not in person, and I think I've only seen it maybe once or twice online. I've seen misogynist statements, but when put in context, you realise that actually it kind of makes sense.
Well,
For example,
wait.
for example, let me explain it. That's fine. Don't worry. I usually come out with controversial things like that, and then I explain it, and people see where I'm coming from. People called Anita Sarkeesian a bitch.
Well,
That,
that's
in of
weird.
itself, a man calling a woman a bitch, that is in some perspectives, a gendered insult directed towards a woman. That could be seen as misogyny until you realise they're calling her a bitch
I
because.
think um, the only people that would have a right to be offended by a man calling a woman a bitch aren't even people. The only ones that would have a right to be offended would be dogs.
Well,
Because
that's my perspective as well.
you're using dog as an insult.
Yes, you're using female dog as an insult.
Women have no right to be offended by that.
Hmm. Well, some
If
people do
if
view it in that way, and
if she doesn't want to be called a bitch, maybe she shouldn't bark around that much.
but no, I do think true, actual dictionary definition misogyny is extraordinarily rare. I think there's hatred towards certain women? Yes. Do I think that hatred is justified? Not always. Do I think it's misogyny though? Yeah, it takes a lot of evidence to convince me of that. A lot of evidence. And we're talking about someone who hates all women because they're women. You can't be a misogynist and like women. It's like I saw a statement the other day that made me want to go to Mars and just say, fuck Earth, we're done. It was,
Well,
you can actually have misogynist feminists. At that point, I think that was when I just gave up on humanity.
well, in a way, I can see where that comes from, actually.
How can you fight for women's rights and want women to be equal to men, by dictionary definition, equal to men,
Well,
and hate women?
um, simple. Turn around toxic masculinity, and what you get is toxic femininity. And
Which
there's
is
a lot of
more of a target towards men than women.
well, not really, because femininity, if we go from traditional gender roles, perpetuates passive behavior and behavior that makes people naturally revert into housewives. So of course, women would want to get away from that. At least feminists would want to get away from that.
But are they
And
hating women for being women? Or are they hating them because they're signing up for these traditional gender roles? That's where it sort of draws the line.
well, I think there must be some sort of splinter group in feminism that really has this kind of self-loathing that they'd wish they were men, because
And
they somehow
if
they
there
see the
is
wrong way around.
if there is a group of Cersei Lannisters, nice Game of Thrones reference there for you, then yes, that would be definitely considered misandry. But that level of self-loathing, self-hatred, and complete hatred of your own gender, I think that's very rare to find. Yeah.
Because yes, it's the thing is yes, that's how I think that how that can come into being. Toxic femininity, really, pretty much.
Mm. And we're not saying that toxic masculinity isn't a thing, but honestly,
But
with the amount of
I
masculinity is being attacked recently, and I do think it is being attacked.
of course it's being attacked. There's two sides to towing on men and telling men how manly or not manly to be. And on one side there's the radical left, several aspects of the radical left, but of course feminism has its hands in there too. That are pushing for men to please be as feminine as possible, because masculinity is toxic. And and
Masculinity causes school shootings.
yes, exactly. Masculinity causes school shootings, the whole Anita Sarkeesian thing. And on the other hand, you have as mentioned before, these MRAs telling you to be more masculine, and other types. And I disagree with both. I think everyone should be allowed to be as manly or unmanly as they want. I just don't think you need to put a label on it. I don't think you have to say, "Oh, I'm so unmanly, I must be a woman." I think that's where really. But I know a lot of people. I'm going to piss a lot of people off saying that. That's simply how I think it is. I
No,
think
and
this
I would agree with
attaching
you.
a label to it is so unnecessary.
I think I think labels are necessary. I think the stigma attached to those labels aren't. The idea that men have to be masculine and women have to be feminine. I think that's where problems arise. If we could get rid of the stigma attached to those words, which is obviously pretty much impossible, then having labels for masculine traits and feminine traits isn't in of itself negative. I think the stigma attached to it is.
And
Yeah.
something yes, and back on topic with the anti-gamergaters is really, I see no point in engaging with them. They're just too far gone. You can't argue with them because some of them deliberately either subconsciously or deliberately forget stuff that they're told, and forget proof that they're shown, and they just turn as I said before, every argument becomes a CSI case.
It becomes circular logic, and if that is what I would love to do, I do lots of debating, like incredible amounts of debating, and I do debate these people who use this circular logic, and I would love to sit down with a bunch of gamergaters and say, look, this is how you counter this, and this is how you show up their flaws in their argument, so that people who are coming in to view the discussion, people who aren't the person you're debating, people who are average everyday Joe who happen to click on Gamergate, #Gamergate, because he was curious about video games and sees this discussion going on, how to appear inviting to him for him to come in and investigate and see what's going on, rather than appearing like a hate group. I'd love to, because I see a lot of mistakes being made by gamergaters when it comes to debating, and it makes me feel sad. It makes me feel sad because I'm like, you can represent your arguments so much better if you simply use this sentence, or you question this part of her argument. You can make the audience come to their own conclusion by themselves, which is what, in a debate setting, you really want to be doing. People love it when they feel like they've accomplished something, when they've reached the conclusion as well as you. And I'd love to do that.
I remember grim implications. That was it. The turfs and the grim implications. There's other grim implications that when I was in my teens, I used to do that a lot. I used to take stuff that was, as it turns out, I didn't know about that all that existed, but stuff that is political correctnessy, and I drew the obvious conclusions from them that nobody liked. Of course, nobody liked these kinds of conclusions, you know. And for instance, one of them using that principle today would be the constant rhetoric with Churchgate was that it is this kind of casual sexism that keeps women out of the sciences, and I really think, okay, look, if wearing a T-shirt with attractive women on it is enough to scare women out of the sciences, then maybe that means women are simply not cut out for the sciences. Plain and simple.
Don't like going into sciencey fields.
If you don't like the conclusion, don't provide the basis for it.
There's the whole idea of a similar idea of, if you're not ready for the answer, don't ask the question.
Yes, pretty much. Or the most extreme example of that kind of principle is definitely affirmative action. Affirmative action is really the most extreme example. That's because Combine affirmative action with the fact that we are in a capitalist system, in a system where that is all about companies making money, and every employer is forced to take on the best for the job for every job. So what is affirmative action? It's women demanding that the state force a certain percentage of women into jobs, or at least force companies to hire a certain percentage of women in the name of equality. They say it is necessary, it is needed, that because supposedly all women try and all women fail. But the only implication for that is, since the companies only take the best for the job, wouldn't that mean that all women are inferior?
Basically.
Isn't that the conclusion that it goes to? Of course, of course, it's not quite really like that, but that's because the assumption is wrong. It's really that's the conclusion you come to, but you're basing it off the wrong assumption.
Oh yeah.
Of course, personal choices. Women and men have different strengths. It's women are not as motivated to get into work, and so on and so on. There's all sorts of things that affect it in real life. But the assumption that it is needed really comes to that conclusion.
Yeah. To quote an old saying that I heard many years ago, when you make an assumption, you make an ass out of you and me. So.
And what I'm getting at is that kind of way of thinking can often be used to show people that that their arguments might be erroneous. Erroneous. That their arguments might be erroneous because when you come to conclusions that they don't like, maybe there's some block. Maybe they're not thinking something through.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think it's just general denial because they have an idea of how the world works and they just can't handle it when it doesn't match up with what you're saying.
Yes.
Like someone coming up to us and saying, "Hey, man, the sky's green today." It just doesn't fit in with what we know.
Yes, but that's probably part of the general methodology of the radical left, and that's the replacement of fact with consensus. That's the belief that if everyone believes the sky is green, then it must be green. Then it becomes green. And they do that a lot. They do that at Gamergate too. They also just spout outright lies over and over and just hope that the lies become fact. It's not even. Sometimes they don't even do it. They don't even do it deliberately to manipulate people. They genuinely believe if they propagate a lie that it becomes reality. That's how far they're gone. I think that even goes back to Marx. That was part of his ramblings.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think we're going really sort of into weird areas. So I think we're going to call it there for tonight.
Okay.
If that's all right with you.
Yes. Okay.
We'll pick this up whenever we manage to do this again.
Okay. Next time. Wait.
Yep.
One last thing.
Go on.
A name.
Yes. We need a proper name.
Okay. How about the Laurie cast?
The Laurie cast.
If you're the one that's always there.
Well, honestly, you've been always there as well. You're pretty much my co-host, I guess.
Okay.
Hang on.
Pretzels and tea.
Pretzels and tea. I like it. It's got Britishness to it. I'm down for that.
You know, Great Britain and Germany. Pretzels and tea.
Pretzels and tea, sorted.
Of course, I guess sausage and tea would make more sense because pretzels are specifically Bavarian.
Sausage and tea.
Okay, pretzels and tea sounds better, doesn't it?
Pretzels and tea does sound better.
Okay. Next time on pretzels and tea, whatever shenanigans Randy Harper is going on about, the IGDA and its shenanigans and more.
Join us next time for fun, fantasy, and Feminism.
Well, not feminism anymore because we've done the feminist edition already.
Well, yeah, but
That's
it's so
only
tied in with Gamergate that he's probably going to come up anyway.
somehow yes. if nothing else, Jonathan McIntosh is going to do something. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, Jonathan McIntosh is going to say or do something stupid.
Yes. Okay.
That's pretty much guaranteed.
So, well then.
Anyway, from me and my co-host, good night, goodbye, and fuck off.